Am I live? We're live. Should probably turn some lights on in here. We are live. I got a dog sitting on me. Hold on a second. This is live television. This is live television. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, if I put a light in my face, you'll be able to see what's going on. All right. Friday Fed posting. No, I won't be threatening anyone. I do want to call some Congress people, though, and ask them why we're so concerned about Israel all the time instead of America. Because I'm an American. Why should I every day I have to be concerned about the enemies that are surrounding a state in the Middle East somewhere? Why is that my concern? It's actually not. You know, that's like the only thing I really don't care about is that. But the politicians this morning on Twitter are obsessed with it for some reason. So I figure I'll call them and ask them why. And this may be a really boring show, or maybe it'll be fun. We're going to find out. Feel free to leave a chat. Ask me questions in the chat if you'd like to discuss any of these topics. But okay, so the first person I want to call is Congressman Mike Carey. He says that he just posted this May 16th. That was yesterday. He says Hamas is a terrorist organization, period. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, period. Israel has a right to defend itself. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me, dude. Why does and it's not just him. It's like all these congressmen are on Twitter talking about Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah. I don't care. I need some representation here in America. Now, I understand this guy's from Ohio, but still, that's all they talk about. They don't even talk about Ohio. You know, they don't talk about anything else but the hexagram people. That's what we're going to call them. We're going to call them the hexagram people. We're not going to call them Israel necessarily. And we're not going to just call them Jews. We're going to call them, and we're not going to call them Zionists. We're going to call them the hexagram. I like calling them the hexagram people because that's their symbol. It's the hexagram. It's like if you called all the Germans during 1930s the swastika people. We know who you're talking about. The people with the swastika flag. Well, I'm calling Jews and Israelis the hexagram people. It's their government. It's their flag. It's their stuff. And for some reason, I have to be involved in it, and I don't want to be. You understand my situation? I don't want to be involved in this. You know, when I used to think Jews didn't want people involved in their stuff. I was wrong. I grew up thinking Jews just wanted to be left alone to practice their religion. I was wrong about that. That's not what they want. They do not want to be left alone to practice their religion. They want you involved in their religion, doing stuff like sending money and going out and supporting their protests and like all kinds of stuff. And maybe, you know, the other religions are actually the same way. Actually, a lot of them too. But, you know, like the Catholic Church started doing that a long time ago. It's another story. Anyway, if you want to leave a message in the chats, go for it. I'm going to call Congressman Mike Carey on the phone, and we probably will get somebody. I just got to ask him why I have to worry about Jews all the time. I mean, the hexagram people. Mike Carey. I'm tired of I want to have a government that represents America. Can we have that? Mike Carey, Ohio. Let's just call him and ask him. Just call him and ask him. Here we got his office. I'm going to give him a call. Calling Mike Carey. Let's see. What's his phone number? I'm not gonna say his phone number on the air. I'm just gonna call it. And I also want to ask about babies being sold to perverts. Oh, hi. I'm just on. I have a live YouTube channel, but they can't hear me. But they can't hear you, but they can hear me. Yeah, well, I'm live. No one's watching it though, because I don't have very many viewers. But you know what? So I'm watching Congressman Mike Carey on Twitter, and this is what I notice about everyone in the government. Like all they talk about are Jews and the enemies of the Jews. And it's like I don't live over there. Do you have any idea why they're so obsessed with Jews and Hamas and Hezbollah and fighting for Jews? Any idea why they're so concerned about that? You're a caseworker. You work for Mike Carey? Oh, because all he talks like all these politicians, all they talk about are we got to fight with the Jews. We got to fight for the Jews. I'm just thinking, why? That's not my religion. Why do I have to fight for somebody else's religion? Also, the other weird thing is in America, we're not supposed to have a state religion, but it seems like you can't criticize the hexagram people either because they're trying to pass laws. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you- the hexagram with that, the people that have the hexagram. I call them the hexagram people, so I don't have to use the word Jew all the time and call people Jews. I just call them the hexagram people that use the hexagrams. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Did you know? I don't. Do they have anti-Semitism laws in Ohio? I guess so. What do you? Are you like the janitor? You don't. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think we should be thrown in prison if we don't like if we say something that a Jewish person doesn't like? Should people go to prison for that? You can't even say, huh? Because you work in the office. You might go. They might fire you. No, not anymore. You know that in Russia and the Soviet Union, they had what were called anti-Semitism laws, and they were potentially punishable by death. So, like, if you said anything bad about Jewish people under Stalin, you'd be arrested and potentially shot in the head. And then you're thinking, wow, that's really extreme. And you think, oh, in America, we would never do anything like that. But they're already passing anti-Semitism laws. And then and then all we talk and then when I go on and I look at what are my politicians doing, like the Congress, all they do is talk about Israel and fighting the Iranians and fighting the Hezbollah and fighting the Hamas. And then they're gonna and then if you and then I don't know if you know this, but like over in Ukraine, I got a lot of friends that were from Ukraine, right? And also from, I had a lot of girlfriends that were from Ukraine back in the like a long time ago, like 20 years ago, and that country's been totally destroyed. They've killed. I mean, like almost 1 million people are dead from this war. And I don't know if you know this, but Ukraine now is totally run by the Jewish mafia. Zelensky, Zelensky and Newland and all these people. And it's like, how is it that the Jewish mafia has this much control over America? What happened to just, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? And why are we even doing this? I don't even understand. Do you have any idea? No, no. Are you a Christian or what religion are you? You're Catholic. Okay. So now let me ask you this. Notice how, have you seen these images of like babies being born and then handed over to homosexuals like Dave Rubin? He's a conservative Jew. Okay, okay, no, it's not even photos. It's on Twitter. There's a guy, right? Like, you know who Dave Rubin is? Okay, he Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager and PragerU. Okay, so Dave Rubin is like he has a talk show, right? And he's a Jewish guy, and he's a homosexual, and he and his homosexual husband or whatever you want to call that literally paid a woman to give birth to a baby. And then when the baby came out of the woman's womb, it was taken by a nurse and handed over to Dave Rubin, who is a homosexual, to take home with his homosexual husband. And that baby will never see its mother. And that's what they do. And now this is happening all the time. I don't know if does this happen in Ohio? Is it legal to do that? You don't know. Th- You did okay. So you know Joe Biden, right? Okay, good. So in his administration, there's a guy named Pete Buttigieg. Have you heard of that guy? Okay, so Pete Buttigieg is also a homosexual. He did the same thing. They buy babies. They pay a woman to give birth to a baby, and then they take the baby home, and it goes home with two homosexuals. The baby never knows its mother. It was sold. It's sold off to homosexuals. Now, the reason I'm telling you this because that is so horrifying. It's like we're living in a dystopian horror movie, right? But then these same people want us to go kill people in Gaza and or fight with the Russians and start a nuclear war. It's like and then Congressman Mike Carey, he's all Hamas is a terrorist. Or okay, Hamas is Hamas selling babies to homosexuals? No, you see what I mean? So how is Hamas my problem? Because what my problem is right here in America is you have babies being born and sold to sex perverts. And it's legal in every state in America, and it's probably legal in Ohio. I don't know. I don't think Congressman Kerry ever even cares about it. Because who cares about a little baby? You know what I mean? Baby doesn't have any money to buy a congressperson. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. Really? I care about babies. You care about babies. But okay, the babies in Ohio, go find out for yourself. I don't know, but in Ohio, I bet you can pay a woman to have a baby, and the baby gets sold to homosexuals so they can go home and pretend like they had a baby. Now, is that fair to the baby? You know what I mean? Can you imagine being a little baby and you've been 9 months in your mother's womb, and then you come out, and instead of suckling on your mother and going home with your mother and your father, you're sold to two gay men that want to pretend like they just had a baby. That's how you start your life. That makes me want to cry. I'm not kidding. It's so horrifying. But this is normal. This is like normal Republican Party. These like I'm telling you, like Dave Rubin, if he could go to any Republican convention and they would treat him with respect. Okay, if I showed up there, they'd be like, "Get out of here, Nazi! Get out of here, racist! Get out of here, bigot!" I'm not kidding. And I'm not the one trafficking babies, and they are. Isn't that weird? What do you think? No, no kidding. No kidding. So I don't know. How long have you worked for Mike Carey? Is he a nice guy or what? You got to go. Okay. Okay. If I were you, I would do everything I can to let people know what kind of things they're going on, because I'm sure Ohio has these problems. We can't, as a civilization, allow stuff like that. Little babies to get sold to perverts. That's not right. Like nowhere in America should that be allowed to happen. And if that's democracy, then we need to end democracy. Because if that's democracy, democracy doesn't deserve to exist. But anyway, thanks for listening to me. Okay, tell Congressman Kerry to call me. Just tell him to call me. Tell him to call Brian. Okay, okay, okay. Bye. There you go. Was that good? Was that good? No one's even watching this. It's lame. Okay, since you're not watching, I'm gonna go refill my cup of coffee. Oh. Tell Mike to call me. Tell him to call Brian. Okay. Is there still people there? Hey, look what I have. Don't hang up yet. Keep watching my channel. Look at this. I have a dog. Oh, my coffee's brewing. So that was a pretty good phone call. We should probably do another one. I hope someone's watching this because this is pretty good stuff, man. We'll just post this on Mike Carey's timeline here. All right, let's see what else we got. Who else can we call? Oh, who is the other guy? The other guy was the dude that had his legs blown off. That guy's such an asshole. Brian, what's his face? What is his name? I don't know. He's like he wears a Mossad uniform in Congress. Dude, what's up with that, dude? This is America. Get your fucking Mossad bullshit out of here. Okay. Let's just look at my Twitter feed. I'm gonna have to run down and get my coffee though if it keeps going. Here's another one. Speaker Johnson. Last month, Senator Schumer said, "Okay, I don't want to." Oh, here, let's talk to Senator Mike Johnson. Senator Mike Johnson. Let's call his office now. Speaker Mike Johnson. Sorry, Speaker Mike Johnson. Okay, I'm gonna have to run down and make sure my coffee doesn't boil. I literally boil my coffee. I don't put it through a coffee machine, so I'm gonna have to run down there in a second. If I'm not here, leave a message. Watch pot never boils. So then you stop watching and it boils over. Okay, Mike Johnson. I got to call Mike Johnson. Oh, I shouldn't pick my nose on air. That's terrible. Let's see. Mike Johnson. Let's see what we got here. Mike Johnson. Contact. How do I call him? God, this guy's such a douchebag. I hate this guy. Mike Johnson. What an idiot. Oh, I got his phone number here. I'm going to go check my coffee and then we'll call him. Hold on. Why should democracy exist? That's democracy. Why should democracy even exist? Can you tell me? If this is democracy, why? Then democracy needs to be destroyed because you can't allow that to happen. Okay, we're back. How are we doing? Is anyone watching this shit? God. Okay, we're going to call Mike Johnson now. Let's call his Washington, D.C. office. Hmm.
035 didn't answer.
Hmm.
You've reached the voicemail of Honorable M. Johnson, main line 2. Please leave a message.
Hi, this is a message from Mike Johnson. All you talk about is Jews, 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 Jews. Can you shut up about the Jews? Because I'm actually sick of hearing about it, and I don't even care. And also, I don't want to start a war with Russia because I don't hate Russian people. I actually like Russians, and I like Ukrainians. And so I think you've killed, I don't know how many over there, hundreds of thousands of people, plus all the people that you've killed over in Gaza. Can you just stop killing so many people? And then stop. I think maybe the reason you're killing so many people is because your affiliation with like the Talmudic people, and they're the ones in the Bible who actually murdered Jesus because they preferred their own doctrine. I don't know if you know that. It's called Christianity. I figured I'd teach you Christianity. I know you claim to be a Christian, but I don't know that you've actually read the story of Jesus, because in the story, he's actually murdered by the Jews. I don't know if you know that. It was the rabbis that get the Romans to kill him, and it's symbolic of how the Jews hate God and that they want to kill God, and so they put him to death at a place called Golgotha, which means the skull. So anyway, that's the story. But I think you've killed so many people in Russia and Ukraine, and Eastern Ukraine where the Russians are, and I think you've gotten at least, I don't know. I would say you've probably killed 1 million people over there. And then you've killed tens of thousands of moms, dads, grandpas, little kids, babies in Gaza. You're just exterminating them. And I know that doesn't bother you, but it's probably because you don't have empathy as a human being, because you lack Christ. You lack this element called Christ, which is the truth, which is the logos. Okay, so anyway, hopefully you will find Jesus Christ, which is the truth, the logos, God's holy word, which is not a book, but comes to you from your soul. And then you will stop murdering people and wasting all of our money. Let's review. Hi, this is a message from Mike Johnson. All you talk about is Jews, 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 Jews. Can you shut up about the Jews? Because I'm actually sick of hearing about it, and I don't even care. And also, I don't want to start a war with Russia because I don't hate Russian people. I actually like Russians, and I like Ukrainians. And so I think you've killed, I don't know how many over there, hundreds of thousands of people, plus all the people that you've killed over in Gaza. Can you just stop killing so many people, and then stop? I think maybe the reason you're killing so many people is because your affiliation with like the Talmudic people, and they're the ones in the Bible who actually murdered Jesus because they preferred their own doctrine.
That's what it says.
I don't know if you know that. It's called Christianity.
It's called Christianity.
I know you claim to be a Christian, but I don't know that you've actually read the story of Jesus.
He doesn't understand
in the story, he's actually murdered by the Jews. I don't know if you know that. It was the rabbis.
Mm-hmm. The rabbis.
Get the Romans to kill him.
That's right.
And it's symbolic of how the Jews hate God and that they want to kill God.
Kill him.
So they put him to death at a place called
Golgotha,
which
the
means
skull.
the skull. So anyway, that's the story. But I think you've killed so many people in Russia and Ukraine, and Eastern Ukraine where the Russians are, and I think you've gotten at least, I don't know. I would say you've probably killed 1 million people over there, and then you've killed tens of thousands of moms, dads, grandpas, little kids, babies in Gaza. You're just exterminating them, and I know that doesn't bother you.
Doesn't bother him at all. That's how these people are in DC. They love it. They love to kill.
Because you lack Christ. You lack this element.
Exactly.
Christ,
the truth.
Okay, so
empathy.
Anyway, hopefully you will find Jesus Christ, which is the truth, the logos, God's holy word, which is not a book, but comes to you from your soul, and then you will stop.
To send your message, press 1. To send your message as urgent, press 2. Thanks.
Message sent.
Your message was sent. Thanks
There you
for
go.
calling.
So there you go. Send that to Mike Johnson. We should send that to Mike Johnson.
People are unbelievable, dude. Oh, I can't post it like that. It won't work. That's my. I can't post it. Oh, I was trying to post it before making it. I don't have a link for this. That's what the problem is. Let me see. No, I don't have a link for that yet. How do I make a link so people can watch this on Twitter while I'm doing it? I don't know. Anyway, I have no viewers so far. It's been 25 minutes. No one has viewed this. Just me. Just me and the people I've talked to on the phone. Let's see who else I can call. God. Drew Pavlou. What an idiot. So this is another Zionist guy who's over in Australia, and he's not white. And but he's trying to be like the leader of the liberal Australian political movement. It's like, dude, just leave us alone. I'm so sick of all this shit. If this is democracy, then democracy's lame. Okay. Oh, here's an argument I'm having with this guy called the Hellenist. It says, when the God of Israel injects his venom into a person, the person, anyway, he's one of these pagan guys. And I told him that theos, dia logos, which is a Heraclitus formula, Heraclitean formula from 500 BC. Before anyone in Greece heard of Jews, this was their philosophy. You probably didn't understand anything I just said. I'll try and say it again more specifically. So in 500 BC, before anyone heard anything about Jews, it had nothing to do with Jews. It was just in 500 BC, the Greeks had a philosophy, and it was that you could reach theos through the logos. And so logos was called the principle, the governing principle of the universe. That was called the logos, the governing principle of the universe, which is the law of the universe, right? And this is the gateway to theos, which is the Greek word for God. Anyway, let's see who else I can call. I've called Mike Johnson. If you're just joining us, I've called Mike Johnson and Mike Carey this morning and had some interesting conversations, which you can go back and watch. But I'm trying to find politicians because all the politicians are going on Twitter and saying how much they love, how much we have to support Jews and wars for Jews. And I just don't understand why. Oh, here's another one. Representative Brian Mast. We're going to call him now. This is 21 hours ago. He posted, House Republicans just voted to end Joe Biden's arms embargo against Israel. This is the guy that had his legs blown off. He says, we stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies and on the throats of terrorists. Now it's time for Senate Democrats to do the same. Who cares, dude? What does this have to do with anything? I'm going to call his office and find out why he's so obsessed with Jews. And then I'm going to teach him. Then I'm going to teach him about Christianity and what it says. Go back if you're just joining us. Go back and see what I left the message I left for Mike Johnson about Christianity. It's pretty funny. So this is Representative Brian Mast. Let's see if I can find his phone number. Representative Brian Mast. Now, if you're Jewish and you're watching this, you're thinking, how come you don't like Jews? I don't care, dude. I don't dislike you. If you're a good person, whatever, I don't care. I'm sick of my government obsessing over Jews all the time, and everything is about the Jews. You see what I mean? I'm just so sick of it. I'd like some representation, is what I'd like. I'd like a government that represents the American people instead of Jews. And it's like, okay, the U.S. government is designed to represent Jews, homosexuals, Black people, migrants, and that's it. As far as I can tell, that's it. No one else gets represented. We get like, what do you call it? Lip service. But when it actually comes to laws and we don't get anything. Okay, here's Brian Mast. Let's call him and ask him about why he's such an idiot. Let's call him and find out why he's such an idiot. It says our offices. Let's see if I can get a phone number. Here we go. Let's try this one. Oh, hey, I'm on my YouTube channel, but they can't hear you. But I have a question. Can you tell me why is Brian so obsessed with Jews? Any idea? Comments? Well, yeah, like I know that he's all he talks about is Jews, 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 Jews. Like literally every time I see him saying something, it's about Jews, and I don't understand why he's so obsessed with them. Do you have any idea? Like maybe you could enlighten my audience, which is like one person right now watching, but they can't hear you. They can only hear me. But I just don't know why all he talks about is Jews. It's like, what country are we in here? You know, I grew up. I don't. How old are you? Because I'm like in my 50s, and when I was growing up in America, we never talked about Jews. Like we talked about taxes and what we're going to do for America. And now it's just everything is about Jews, and we got to fight the enemies of the Jews. And it's just like it's so ridiculous. I'm like, what is this shithole country that I live in? Where everything is revolves around Jews. It's just weird. Any idea why we're like this now? Are you Jewish or are you Christian? What religion are you? I'm asking you a question. You can't talk like a normal person? I'm just asking. We're just having a conversation. What's the big deal? Oh, he hung up. They're so weird, dude. That's the thing about the US government and all these representatives. They don't talk to anybody. They just want to sit there and it's like a one-way thing where they tell you, oh, well, here we go. You're supposed to sue by using the Civil Rights Act 1964. Yeah, that'd be good. We should start suing people. We need a lawyer to sue everybody. We need to sue everybody, dude. Good morning, by the way. Thanks for joining us. I don't know how interesting this is going to be because a lot of it's going to be just me drinking coffee and making phone calls and possibly going back to my kitchen to make more coffee if I need it. But anyway, let's try another congressman. Let's see who else is on Twitter. Let's see who else is on Twitter tweeting about how we have to fight wars for Jews. By the way, if you're Jewish and you happen to watch this video, I don't hate you. I don't know why my government, all they talk about is Jews. And that's, if they're going to talk about it, I got to talk about it, right? They're the ones talking about it nonstop. So, when I talk about it, it's like, how dare you talk about the Jews? Well, that's all the government cares about, apparently. So let's find out, Sean Hannity. Here's one. Brian Mast. What else is going on? Here we go. Alan Dershowitz. Another person talking about Jews. Alan Dershowitz. What does he have to say? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to call politicians. It's weird because Alan Dershowitz is actually Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer and went to the island and went on the plane and went to the office in the mansion in New York and I'm sure that Alan Dershowitz is good friends with Les Wexner at Harvard because Dershowitz is from Harvard, so I'm sure they're all friends. And it's like, and so that's a pedophile ring, right? Jeffrey Epstein ran a pedophile ring. So how is it that everyone shows respect to Alan Dershowitz? And you could say, well, he was just a lawyer and da 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 da. No, because lawyers don't have to take those cases. And he's not just a lawyer. He's a lawyer from the same school as Les Wexner and as Jeffrey Epstein and all these other billionaires that he's associated with. And he's their friend. So he's not just their lawyer. And nobody ever asks Alan Dershowitz any questions. They just treat him with respect. And, Sean Hannity, all these people that claim to be Christian, Sean Hannity, all these other guys, even Alex Jones had Alan Dershowitz on the show and Glenn Beck has him on the show. And it's just like, how do you treat somebody with respect that's part of a pedophile ring? I don't get it. So anyway, let's call Marjorie Taylor Greene. I actually like her. Some people are, I don't know, some people like try and start problems about, oh, Marjorie's not good enough or whatever. I know, but she's still good. I like her. Are you still watching? Oh, there you are. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. What did McCarthy do to not only get kicked out but also leave before his term was up? That's a good question. What did he do? Oh, what did he do? I guess he I can't remember. I just remembered that I didn't like him. Okay, I don't know that we. Okay, Chuck Fleischman. Here's another one. Here we go. Chuck Fleischman. Israel is in a fight for its very existence against radical terrorists. Yet President Biden is still withholding critical aid to our ally. Today, the House GOP will pass Israel security assistance. Okay, this guy needs a phone call. Because it seems like since Mike Johnson's been in there, what has he done for anybody other than send massive amounts of money to Jews and also the Ukrainians? Has he done anything else? Have they done anything else? No. Let's call Chuck Fleischman. Let's call Chuck. Chuck Fleischman, United States Representative. Chuck. Guys looks like such an idiot. Let's call him up. Let's get his phone number here. All right, Chuck. The thing is they don't talk to you though. They just they take your call and they won't even have a. The first lady did, but let's see what he says. Let's see if you can listen to this.
Thank you for calling the office of Congressman Chuck Fleischman. At this moment, our Washington, D.C. office is currently unavailable.
Ooh.
Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and we will
Well, I
return
can
your
still
call
leave
as
a
soon as
message.
possible. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Hey, there's a message for Chuck Fleischman. I've seen your posts on Twitter, and I just can't figure out for the life of me why you're so obsessed with Jews. Jews. All I hear about is Jews. Every day out of the Congress, all I hear about are Jews. That's it. It's like you literally don't do anything other than send money to Jews. And it's like, can you do something for the American people? You know, it's like all I hear about is Jews coming out of the Congress. So when I look at every congressman on Twitter, every day, all you talk about are Jews. And I don't know that you've done anything since you've gotten control of the Congress other than send money to Jews. I mean, what else have you done? I don't know. So, it's ridiculous because the American people actually need representation. I don't know if you know that. But the American people actually, not only do they need representation, they deserve it because not everyone just wants to be focused on what Jews are doing and how Jews are doing and how Jews are feeling and do Jews need more money? Like, that's so dumb, dude. You can't run a government like that. So here's what's probably going to happen. You're going to keep doing this because you're not going to listen to me, obviously, and you're not going to stop. And nobody, but see, the thing is, over time, you're going to lose because nobody supports this. So you're just going to keep doing it and you're going to keep doing it. And then eventually there's not going to be anything left because you didn't do anything for your actual people here in the United States. And because you don't do anything for the people here, there's not going to be anything. Just like, let me give you an example, just like in Europe or like in London, you go to London and it's about, I think over half the population now is 10 seconds. Most population is from foreign countries. It's run by Pakistani mayor. You've got Rishi Sunak, who's an Indian. Like there's not going to be any white European Christian places left. Yeah. Okay, let's see what I can do. Let's review.
Your message. Press 4.
Let's review it.
Hey, there's a message for Chuck Fleischman. I've seen your posts on Twitter, and I just can't figure out for the life of me why you're so obsessed with Jews. Jews. All I hear about is Jews. Every day out of the Congress, all I hear about are Jews. That's it. It's like you literally don't do anything other than send money to Jews. And it's like, can you do something for the American people? It's like all I hear about is Jews coming out of the Congress. So when I look at every congressman on Twitter, every day, all you talk about are Jews. And I don't know that you've done anything since you've gotten control of the Congress other than send money to Jews. I mean, what else have you done? I don't know. So, it's ridiculous because The American people actually need representation. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you know that, but the American people actually, not only do they need representation, they deserve it. Because not everyone just wants to be focused on what Jews are doing and how Jews are doing and how Jews are feeling and do Jews need more money? Like, that's so dumb, dude. You can't run a government like that. So here's what's probably going to happen. You're going to keep doing this because you're not going to listen to me, obviously, and you're not going to stop. And nobody, but see, the thing is, over time, you're going to lose because nobody supports this. So you're just going to keep doing it, and you're going to keep doing it, and then eventually, there's not going to be anything left because you didn't do anything for your actual people here in the United States, and because you don't do anything for the people here, there's not going to be anything. Just like, let me give you an example. Just like in Europe or like in London, you go to London, and it's about, I think, over half the population. Most population is from foreign countries. It's run by a Pakistani mayor. You've got Rishi Sunak, who's an Indian. Like, there's not going to be.
To send your message, press 1. To send your
Sad.
message as urgent,
America has nothing left, and we don't have a government. That's the problem.
Press 4. To append to your message, press 5.
I forgot what I'm
transfer
supposed
to
to
the
do.
operator, press 0. To cancel this message and exit, press star.
I'm gonna press 1 and see what happens.
Thanks. Your message was sent.
Oh,
Thanks
good.
for-
Americans don't have a government, dude. It's really weird. It's really weird. We have no government. Glad you're playing it back. My correction time. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I know this is probably going to be a little bit boring because I'm only sitting here mostly talking to myself or calling people on the phone, but got to start somewhere. So I'm going to call some more people here. Let's see who else we can talk to. Brigitte Gabriel, I stand with Israel. God. Good for you, lady. Who are you? Who are you? I don't even know who you are. I was born in America, okay? Good for you. Good for you. I don't care. I don't care. Maybe we should call her and ask her to shut up. How do I get her phone number? If you have Brigitte Gabriel's phone number, let me know. I'll call her right now. Brigitte Gabriel. What is she on? She's on I don't know. She says she's a national security expert. Really? Does America seem secure to you when we have an open border? But all she talks about is Israel. Okay, who else we got here? Let's see what else we got. Mark Weissman. Who's this guy? Oh, here's a guy, the Mark Weissman. The entire Palestinian cause is 100% about genociding the Jews. Stop pretending. Really? That's what this is all about? So it's the Jews that are being genocided. Oh, okay. Okay. That's these people are so dishonest. That's one thing about it is it's so, what does it say? That's what Trump said. We have no country. He's right. Trump is right. And you know, I'm probably going to, I voted for Trump twice for president and he won both times. And I'll probably vote for him again. Because even though he does, he's a little too enthusiastic about Jews and Israel. I mean, ultimately there was no bloodshed, which was good. So that was a plus. That was a plus. A lot of people were still alive back then. So what else we got? I want to call a politician because at least I have their phone numbers. Here's Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is not talking about Jews, interestingly enough. Good for him. I think I'll call him anyway. Jim Jordan. Let's call it Jim Jordan because what is he doing about it? Are you allowed? Here's my question. Are you allowed to buy babies? Surrogacy. This is a big problem right now in America. Homosexuals buying babies, right? That's what's happening. I don't know if that's happening. Is that legal in Ohio? Let's find out. Well, I don't even want to type that into my computer, but let's call Congressman. Let's call him and ask him. What's his name? Shit, I'm getting confused here. Ohio, Jim Jordan. Let's call him up and ask him what's going on with this baby trafficking stuff. because this is bullshit, dude. I'm pissed. All right. I'm going to congratulate him, though, on not talking about Jews all the time because everybody else is, and he's actually talking about something else. He's talking about Trump. Okay. I'm going to call his office right here. That's the Rayburn office. Yeah, that's the one. 2252676. Okay, let's see if I get somebody on the phone.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of Congressman Jim Jordan, representing the 4th Congressional District of Ohio. Please listen carefully to the following options. If you are a resident of the 4th Congressional District of Ohio and know your zip code, please press 1. If you're not a resident of the 4th Congressional District of Ohio and would like to leave a comment, please press 2.
I'm going to say,
for all other business, please press 3. For more information,
I'm going to say I'm a resident of
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of Congressman Jim Jordan. Your message is very important to us. Please leave your name, address, the message you...
I'm not going to leave my name and address. Come on, I'm just trying to make a comment. Leave your name and address. Can you just... Okay, we'll try somebody else. They don't want to talk to anybody, dude. That's the thing about the Congress people. They actually don't want to talk to you. I don't know. I guess if you left enough messages, though, they might get the point. They might get the point. If everyone was leaving messages and just calling, why we should just never stop calling. You know what I mean? Like every day, just call them and tell them they suck, that they're doing a shitty job, unless they're doing exactly what we want. But who has time for that, right? People just forget about it. They're like, whatever, it's the government. Can't do anything about it. Let's see who else we got here. We got Jim Jordan, Lindsey Graham. Let's just call Lindsey Graham and ask him about, I don't know, how many people did he kill today? How many people do you think are going to die, Lindsey Graham, according to your policies that you want? Should we have let's ask him about nuclear war. He was talking about nuclear war the other day. I'll ask him if he wants to start a nuclear war today. That'll be interesting. Lindsey Graham. Let's get his phone number here. Let's see if Lindsey's going to start a nuclear war today. Lindsey Graham, Senator. Lindsey Graham. Let's see if he wants to have a nuclear war. Seems like he does. Where's his phone number? Oh, here we go. For the Jews. We're going to have a nuclear war for the Jews. That's his thing. Oh, shit. I got to recall it. $59.72. Let's see what he says.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina. Constituents wishing to share their thoughts with
Oh, my phone's not working too good. Let me try this one again. Let's try this one again. There we go.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Constituents wishing to share their thoughts with Senator Graham about current events as well as legislation before the U.S. Senate, please do so by pressing 1. If you are calling because you need help resolving a problem you are having with a federal agency or having an emergency casework issue like a lost or stolen passport, or need information on other constituent services like grants, core services,
I'd like a grant.
Program,
give me some money.
Service Academy, please press 2. To speak with a member of our office, please press 3.
Let's do 3.
Wait while I transfer your call. Thank you for calling the office of Senator Lindsey Graham. How can I help you?
Oh, hi. I'm on my YouTube channel live streaming, and I figured I'd call and see if I could ask Lindsey Graham about about the Jews, because I know that's a big subject for him, is the Jews.
Unfortunately, this senator is not available.
Oh, okay. Anything you want to tell us about the Jews today? Should we start a nuclear war for them today, or maybe tomorrow? And I got a question. How many people do you think will die in a nuclear war for Jews if Lindsey Graham has his way?
Is there anything I can help you with today, sir?
Well, he was talking about nuclear war the other day on I can't remember what show it was. I think it was one of these liberal television shows like MSNBC, and he was saying we should have a nuclear war. And and I guess it was for the Jews. Oh yeah, no, that's what it was. The Jews were under attack, and we needed a nuke. We needed to nuke the enemies of the Jews, and that was what he was talking about. So I was hoping I could get some more information about that because it sounds really exciting. That sounds really exciting. What was that all about?
I believe that was the senator's word.
No, it was. He said that they should do whatever's possible. He's talking about nuking people, and we should have a nuclear war. He was talking about nuclear war with Japan, and then he was talking about the Iranians and the. Oh, I got a question though, because I'm not Jewish and I don't live in the Middle East, and so I can't figure out for the life of me why everyone in the government in Washington D.C. is totally obsessed with Jews. Do you have any idea why?
No, sir, I can't comment on anyone else's behalf. Are you a constituent located in the state of South Carolina?
I'm not. I'm someone that's probably going to die in a nuclear holocaust for Jews, though. That's why I was calling.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we do have to keep this line open for South Carolina.
Okay, all right. Well, have a nice day.
Thank you, you too.
God, these people. Tell her to send you money. Oh, I should have told her to send me some money, dude. Oh, I could use some extra money. I could use some money. All right. Well, that was Lindsey Graham's office. Let's see who else we can call. Did Lindsey Graham not say that we were going to have a nuclear war for Jews? Did he not say that on MSNBC? He told her. He said that. She's like, he didn't say that. Well, yeah, he did. You don't watch. You should watch him. You never watch his segments on television. That's what he talks about. Anyway, let's see who else. Let's see what other politicians are on here. Michael Rappaport. I don't want to talk to that guy. That guy's a total psychopath. I would, if I saw Michael Rappaport, I would not engage him. I would not engage him. General Flynn. I know a lot of you guys like General Flynn. I think he's okay. Here's my thing about General Flynn. It's not that I don't like him. I actually do like him. The problem is I like him, but he never exposed 9/11, right? And then all he talks about is China. Okay, like China's the problem. China could be potentially a problem, but when you have like the World Trade Center blows up and you're in the NSA and then you don't tell people who did it, that's not patriotic. That's my problem. Even though General Flynn, he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's got a nice family. Can't really say anything too bad about him, other than I'm just disappointed. Like, do you worship the truth or not? That's the thing, man. Is I think we should. I don't trust him either. Too mealy mouthed. Exactly. He speaks in very general terms. Mealy mouthed Mike Pence. Yeah, he's not as bad as Mike Pence, but yeah, and I don't know. Anyway, like I was saying, if he's in the NSA, imagine you're in the NSA and you're a general, and then the World Trade Center blows up, and then you keep it a secret on who did it. Why would you do that if you're a patriot? If you really love America, why would you keep it a secret? Your whole, the rest of your life, you're not going to tell people what happened. That's not patriotic. But let's see who else is on Twitter here. Ted Cruz. Maybe we should call Ted Cruz. I don't know. Ted Cruz is the thing about Ted Cruz. I don't want to give Ted Cruz too bad of a time because, he does support the Second Amendment, which is important. But otherwise, he's kind of a goofball. Ted Cruz calls for federal authorities to investigate foreign adversaries causing unrest in the U.S. Oh, maybe I should call him because he wants to investigate foreign adversaries. But I'm going to tell you right now that in Los Angeles, Mossad has an actual military base in Los Angeles. And that right up there in Beverly Hills, there is a Mossad. There's literally an Israeli intelligence base, a military base operating right now in Los Angeles. So why would a foreign government have an active military base in California? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would the United States allow that? Why would the governor of California allow the Israeli government to operate a military installation in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. Yeah, they have the U.S. I know, it's sad. We need our own government. We need our own government. I talk to Jews all the time that are nice people that I like. They're friendly. You know, I don't talk to them about stuff like this. But ultimately, that's good. You have a government. Good for you. I want a government for my people and what we're doing. You know what I mean? That's my position. You have your thing. Go do your thing. Go fight wars with Arabs and all that. I don't want to have anything to do with it. You know, I actually don't even like it, but I don't want to be part of it. We need to have our own stuff. Netanyahu even said it. He did. Yep. In fact, I remember when 9/11 happened, I was watching one of these cable news shows, and Netanyahu went on the air. I think it could have been Fox or MSNBC or one of these shows, or CNN. I can't remember which one it was, but it was live. And he said, I don't know the exact words, but I remember him saying specifically, this is back when I still thought the Arabs blew up the World Trade Center. He said that this was going to be good for Israel. That's what he said. He said this terrorist attack in New York, he said, and he was excited about it. He said, ultimately, this is going to be good for Israel. And I noticed when October 7th happened, he had that same gleeful excitement. If you go back and watch right after the incident happened, October 7th, if you go watch the interviews he did, he was like, he did not look sad or shocked. He just looked happy and excited. Like if you look at his demeanor, he looked really excited about the terrorist attack that just happened, and he knew that this was going to be this big, exciting thing for him. And that's just how he is. Let's see who else. Should we call Ted Cruz? I guess we will. I don't know. Let's call Ted Cruz and see what he says. Let's call his office. Ted Cruz. Let's just ask him why he cares about the Jews so much. Or no, I remember. We're going to ask him about. He's saying that there's going to. Okay, he says here in this tweet, Ted Cruz calls for federal authorities to investigate foreign adversaries causing social unrest in U.S. Okay, let's ask him about that, because I have a problem with Israeli, and I don't want Hamas here or Hezbollah. I don't want any of those. I don't want any of that shit here. But I don't want the Israeli government here either. I want them all gone. I want to have our own stuff for our own people. We do our own thing. Where's Ted Cruz? Here we go. About Ted Cruz. He went to Harvard too. I'm going to ask him about that. That's where Jeffrey Epstein went, Harvard, and Les Wexner. I should ask him if he knows Les Wexner. Let's ask him about Les Wexner too. Let's see. Contact Ted. Office locations. Central Texas. We need DC. Seems like they just stay there most of the time. 2 2 4 5 9 2 2.
Hi, this is Ted Cruz.
Right on.
Thank you for calling my Washington, D.C. office. It is an honor and privilege to serve the great state of Texas as your United States Senator, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments. To leave a message for me about current issues or legislation, please press 1. For information regarding our office address and hours, please press 2. For instructions on how to submit a scheduling request, please press 3. To speak to a member of my staff, please press 0.
0. Oh shit! I just fucked it up. Sorry for the F. Sorry about that. Dang, I gotta call him back. Sorry. Error. Now I know to press 0. We won't have to sit through that again.
Hi, this is Ted Cruz.
0.
Wait while I transfer your call.
He's doing an investigation. So I'm going to help him with his investigation by telling him about the Mossad base that's in America. If I can.
Sorry, Cruz, DC main number
Shit.
is not available.
Shit.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey, Ted, this is Brian. I'm out here and I'm reading your Twitter. It says that you're doing an investigation in foreign adversaries causing social unrest in the U.S. And I just want you to know that there are Mossad bases here in the United States of America the Israeli government has actual literal military installations all over the United States. And they were involved in the terrorist attack on 9/11, and they were involved in attacking Trump supporters with Antifa back when Trump was the president. And they were backed by Harvard, Les Wexner, where I think you went to school at Harvard. Do you know Les Wexner, by the way? I mean, you went to school. I don't know if you know. I mean, I'm not saying you're friends with him, but I mean, you might know who he is. Les Wexner of L Brands. He's the one that ran the Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking blackmail operation. His name's Les Wexner, and he was Jeffrey Epstein's sole source of income, right? So basically, they're working with the Israeli government to overthrow the United States and set up a fascist system where we're not going to have any free speech. We're not going to have the right to speak. If just like in the Soviet Union, they had anti-Semitism laws in the Soviet Union. And if you were critical of the Talmudic rabbinical order, you could be arrested. I can't.
Press pound.
Let's review
or
it.
Hang up. To play it. 3. To re-record it. 4. To add to it. 5. To discard it. 6.
We got to review it. Shit. What was that again? Say that again,
To
Mike.
send this message, press pound
Okay.
or hang up.
Mhm.
To play it. 3.
3.
To re-
Hey Ted, this is Brian. I'm out here and I'm reading your Twitter. It says that you're doing an investigation in foreign adversaries causing social unrest in the U.S. And I just want you to know that there are Mossad bases here in the United States of America. The Israeli government has actual literal military installations all over the United States.
It's true.
And they were involved in the terrorist attack on 9/11.
That's right.
And they were involved in attacking Trump supporters with Antifa.
That's right.
Back when Trump was the president. they were backed by Harvard, Les Wexner, where I think you went to school at Harvard. Do you know Les Wexner, by the way? I mean, you went to school. I don't know if you know. I mean, I'm not saying you're friends with him, but you might know who he is.
Might know who he is.
Les Wexner. L Brands. He's the one that ran the Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking blackmail operation. His name's Les Wexner. And he was Jeffrey Epstein's sole source of income, right? So basically, they're working with the Israeli government to overthrow the United States and set up a fascist system.
That's what they're doing.
We're not going to have any free speech.
Nope.
We're not going to have the right to speak. If, just like in the Soviet Union, they had anti-Semitism laws in the Soviet Union. And if you were critical of the
rabbinical order, you
could be.
To send this message,
I got screwed.
press pound or hang up. To play it. 3.
Wait.
To re-record it.
Add.
4.
I want to add.
To add to it. 5. You've reached the maximum length for a recording. To send this message, press pound.
Okay.
Or
Sent.
your message has been sent.
So isn't it interesting? They had anti-Semitism laws in the Soviet Union, and now we have anti-Semitism laws in America. Florida has anti-Semitism laws, right? So Ron DeSantis, that's another person we should call. We have anti-Semitism laws in America, which so now if you read the Bible, right, who's the first person to suffer death penalty because of anti-Semitism laws or speech laws? Who was the first person in the Bible? Who was the first person in the Bible to suffer the death penalty due to anti-speech laws? Anybody know out there in YouTube land? I'm going to tell you. It was John the Baptist. He had his head cut off. Oh, Jesus. That's right. He was the second one. Jesus was number 2. John the Baptist was number 1. They cut his head off. They cut his head off because he was out in the wilderness, the River Jordan, and he was telling people that the Pharisees and the Sadducees were a bunch of snakes. And so and he also said that there was a king coming, and so what's his face? Herod didn't like that. And so nobody liked it. It was the rabbis that didn't like him, and it was the government that didn't like him. So they cut his head off, right? And so those are called anti-Semitism laws. It's right there in the Bible. It's right there in the Bible. Let's ask Ron DeSantis about his anti-Semitism laws and maybe teach him a little bit about Christianity. Let's call him up. Let's call him up. Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSanctimonious. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. Let's call him up and just talk to him about anti-Semitism laws. Hey, I just want you to know, Ron, you've got some anti-Semitism laws going. And he went to Yale University. Oh, he went to Harvard Law School. He might know. I should ask him if he knows Les Wexner, because he went to Harvard Law School. How old is he? He's 45? No way. Wait a minute. I don't know. Okay, let's, what do we got here? Contact Ron DeSantis. Let's call us, okay, he's in Tallahassee. Let's call Ron.
Thank you for calling the office of Governor Ron DeSantis. Your call is important to us. Please press
It's
1
important to me
speak with
too.
an available staff member.
Oh.
Please press 2 to leave a voicemail for the governor's staff or to share your opinion about legislation or the governor's minutes. Please press 3 to obtain contact
I
information
want
for
to
the
talk to a
governor's office.
person.
Your estimated wait time is 2 minutes. Your call may be monitored for quality assurance.
It's already being recorded.
All of our representatives are currently busy.
My call is being recorded. That's good. It's being monitored.
Available staff members.
I just need to ask him about anti-Semitism laws. I don't know if you can hear this music, but it's pretty good. Okay, let's find some other people to call while we're waiting. Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib. You know, she's a nice lady, but we need to do our own thing, Rashida. We don't need to do stuff together. Mark Levin. That guy's a piece of work. Ben Shapiro. Here we go. So an episode of Jerry Springer broke out in Congress. Yeah. Here's Mark Levin. Okay, we got to work on politicians. Sorry. I don't know if you can hear this music, but it's kind of like being in an elevator. Representative Steve Womack. Today, the House will consider the Israel Security Assistance Support Act, which I proudly sponsor. We should call him next. Oh, Tom Cotton. Here's another one. It's just one after another. They're all the same. If Biden had not been so obsessed with restricting Israel to appease his pro-Hamas base, the pro-Hamas base. If you're against exterminating people, that means you're pro-Hamas. That's how the government in DC. That's how all these representatives are positioning it. That anti-mass murder is pro-Hamas. Now, does that even make sense if you're pro-Israel, right? Why would you associate Hamas with
All
the?
of our staff members are still busy with other callers. Please remain on the line.
I'm gonna call Tom
Try to
Cotton
leave
and
a
ask him. But
voicemail.
I'll have to leave a voicemail. I really want to talk to somebody about anti-Semitism laws. We got to call Tom Cotton now. I'm still on the line. We got to call Tom Cotton and say, Tom, I saw that you said, if why would you, like, as far as marketing, if you really hate Hamas, right? Why would you associate them with being anti-mass murder genocide? Because that makes you look terrible. They're not going to listen to me, though. So we got Tom Cotton. Oh, here's another one. Elise Stefanik. All she talks about is Jews. Marsha Blackburn. She's actually talking about illegal immigrants. Wow. Good job, Marsha. Good job. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to get anyone here. Okay. We might have to call back. Let's call Tom Cotton. See if I can get his number here. Tom Cotton. I just want to know why he's obsessed with Jews also. All he talks about are Jews. Tom, can you stop talking about Jews? Can you stop it, Tom? Can you talk about something else? How old is he? 47? My God. Imagine being 47 and being that stupid. Oh, here we go. Ron DeSantis. Jerry Nadler is a hero. He really understood that bill. Yeah. It's ringing. This is Ron DeSantis. I got to ask him about anti-Semitism laws. Fuck. Oops. Sorry. I should just ask him.
Thank you for calling the Governor's Office of Citizen Services. My name is Devin. May I have your name and contact number?
Yeah, my name is Brian. I want to know if Ron DeSantis, if we can have some people arrested for anti-Semitism.
Have you called local law enforcement?
Should I call the cops on the anti-Semites?
Yes.
Okay, what do they? Because it's illegal to have bad thoughts, right?
You said bad thoughts?
Yeah, that's anti-Semit. You know what Semitism is, right?
I do.
Have you read the story of John the Baptist having his head chopped off by Herod?
I have, yes.
You have? Okay. That was because he was convicted of anti-Semitism and they cut his head off. Did you know that?
Have there been like specific actions?
Oh, like people are saying mean things because they don't want to send billions of dollars to Jews to fight wars and stuff, and they don't want to have a nuclear war with Iran for Judaism. Have you read the Bible? You know, like when Jesus was killed on the cross by the Jews, because he was an anti-Semite. Did you know that? He's confused. Are you confused? Have you read the Bible? You've read the story of Jesus, right? He was taken to a place called Golgotha, and the Jews had the Romans kill him because he spoke out against the Jewish rabbis, and the rabbis had him put to death. Do you know that story?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Yeah. So those are called anti-Semitism laws. Did you know that? Like they had in the Soviet Union?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you are suspecting that a crime is being taken place, I would call local law enforcement.
Well, you said I should call them if there's anti-Semitism, right?
Unless there's a crime being taken place.
Isn't anti-Semitism a crime in Florida?
Crimes that are based on anti-Semitism are felonies in Florida, yes.
Wow. So wait. Let me ask you a question. If somebody attacks a white person that's Christian, is that an anti-Semitic? That's not the same level of crime. It's only if they're Jewish. So basically, Jewish people have more protection because of their race. Is that how that works?
No, sir. All crime is crime.
Oh, bullshit. You know you're lying now. You know you're lying. You just told me that anti-Semitism is a crime. How could it be a crime? You know what the word Shem means? Do you actually know what that word means?
Son of Seth.
No, it means the sun in the sky. That's called Shem. In Arabic, it's called Shams. And in Hebrew, it's called Shemesh. It's the sun in the sky. Did you know that? Did you know that?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, well, so how can so you know that that white people, the Greeks, the Greeks and the Germans, they're not Semites because we call the sun, or we call it Helios in Greek, or we call it some other thing. So you're talking about a whole race of people that you're calling anti. None of your stuff makes sense, dude. But I'm telling you right now. So anti-Semitism laws, those are rabbinical. The rabbinical order believes that Jesus Christ. They're glad they killed him, and that they killed him for anti-Semitism. Did you know that? That they killed him because he was an anti-Semite. That's the religion. Did you know that?
I cannot comment on that.
Oh, okay. Well, you've seen Jesus hanging on a cross? What was his crime? He was the king of Judah, which means the word of God, who spoke out against the rabbis. And so they put him to death because the rabbis created their own doctrine called the Talmud, right? And so it's in the Talmud, if you speak out against the Jews, they kill you. That's the religion of the Talmud, is to kill anyone who criticizes Jews. Did you know that that's in the Talmud? In the Talmud, it teaches to kill all non-Jews. Anyone who speaks out against the Jews is to be killed according to the religion of the Jews. Did you know that? Have you read that?
I can't comment on that.
Okay, well, those are the laws that you now have in Florida, and they're not based on the United States Constitution or the Bill of Rights, because our system is based on natural rights, which means we have a right to speak that comes from God naturally. We don't have to ask Jews or rabbis permission, and if they and we can't be killed by rabbis or thrown in prison by rabbis as John the Baptist and Jesus was killed because of our speech. But you're in Florida, so I guess things are a little different there. So you're no longer part of our system, which is the American Christian white civilization. So sorry for you, but you don't have much of a future going that way because that's a cursed path. But have a nice day, I guess.
You too, sir.
Asshole. I hate these people, dude. They're so stupid. Yes, anti-Semitism laws are anti-Jewish. I don't know. That guy's so dumb, dude. Do you know what Shem means? He's like the son of Shem. Well, kind of. God, I hate these people. Are so stupid, dude. They're so stupid. All right. All right. See what else we can call. Means the sun. I don't know if you know that, but the name Shem means the sun. In Arabic, it's called Shams. In Hebrew, it's called Shemesh. It's the sun. Okay. It also is the name of a guy in the Bible named Shem. Okay. Good. Whatever. Because Jesus was a Jew. Jesus was the word of God. Jesus is the word of God born among the Jews and killed by the rabbis. So I know what you mean. I wouldn't say Jesus was a Jew. I would say that Jesus is God's word from beginning. Because if you look at John 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So there's no difference between God and his Word. And God is known by his Word, which is the truth, which we call the Logos. And in the story of Jesus, he's born among the Jews, and they kill him. They kill him. So was Jesus a Jew? I would say no. He was the Word of God born among the Jews, which the Jews rejected. Okay, but those laws still cut out their tongues. I don't know. But those laws still cuts out their tongues. I don't know. I don't know what that is. But you're making good points. It's a good discussion to have. All right. I don't know. I just know that there's no way Americans can have laws for anti-Semitism. Now, did you notice when I called this idiot, I'm like, someone's doing anti-Semitism. He's like, call the police. Call the police. What an idiot, man. That guy was so dumb. I'm like, have you heard the story of John the Baptist? Have you heard the story of Jesus? He was taken and put on a cross and killed by the rabbis. It's like, dude, how do you not put two and two together? They're so stupid, dude. I'm so sick of these people. Let's call some more of them. Let's call some more of these idiots. Who else we got? Tom Cotton. Oh, here's Tom Cotton with his... Here he is talking about Jews again. Tom Cotton. I'm obsessed with Jews, Tom Cotton. Let's call his office. I'm just going to ask why all he talks about are Jews all the time. You know, people could say that to me. How come all you talk about are Jews? Well, how come all you talk about are Jews? Can you shut up about the Jews? When you shut up about the Jews, I'll stop talking about them. But for right now, I have to talk about them because that's all you talk about. Let's call them up. I'm just going to tell them to shut up about the Jews. Maybe that's what I should say. Hey, can you stop talking about Jews? Oh, shit.
Cotton's El Dorado office is not available.
What
Record your
office?
message at the tone. When you are finished,
What office?
hang up or press pound for more.
Oh, that's the Laredo office. We got to get the DC office. Here we go.
You've reached the offices of Senator Tom Cotton. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, can you stop talking about the Jews constantly? Because all you talk about are Jews, 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 Jews. And I actually don't care. I'm not Jewish. I don't live in the Middle East. And I'm not even concerned about that at all because I'm an American. I live in America. And literally nothing good is happening for the people in America while you are in the Senate. You and Chuck Schumer together are basically starting a bunch of wars in Europe and killing Europeans. I think, Tom, you've probably killed, I don't know how many people in Europe you've killed. I mean, I know that there's been about 500,000 dead Ukrainians with the war that you're sponsoring over there. Those are people that I like, by the way. And I also like Russians. So I like Ukrainians, I like Russians. And you're getting them all killed for what looks like a mafia, a Jewish mafia run by Nuland and Zelensky and Chuck Schumer and a bunch of people at B'nai B'rith. And I can't imagine why this is happening because it doesn't benefit anyone in America. America and Europe are being systematically ruined. And you're starting wars with Russia when what we really need, Tom, is we need some kind of a program for Americans and Europeans to build a civilization. Because the one that you're not even building anything.
For recording.
Okay.
To send this message, press pound
We'll just send
or
it.
hang up. To play it.
I don't need to play that one. Whatever, Tom. Idiot. All right. They're disobeying God. They certainly are. If someone badmouth Jesus, then they are anti-Semitic because Jesus was a Jew. I get what you mean, yeah. Jesus was the ultimate. Jesus is the Word of God, which is the light of God, which is the ultimate Shem, which is the ultimate light. That's what Jesus is. They're disobeying God. They're at war with God. Because they're at war with truth. So here, you know what we really need? This is what I've really come to realize. All the things you could talk about in the media or on television or on radio, ultimately, there's only one thing that really matters, and that's getting everybody to care about the truth and what the truth is. Like, what is the truth? Let's talk about what the truth is. Let's have a discussion about the truth. But, it's like, what did Donald Trump do the other day? Oh, okay. So Donald Trump the other day said that that people are saying October 7th never happened, just like they say the Holocaust never happened. But that's not what people are saying. You know what I mean? And it's always a lie. So what are people saying? People are saying that on October 7th, Hamas did attack, but it looks like it just appears based on what we saw that the Israelis kind of wanted them to attack. It just looks like they kind of stood down, and some of the guys on the border did fight back. But ultimately, it looked like the government under Netanyahu was very reserved. And we've seen this happen over and over again with different things like, the riot, where the police would just stand there and let the riot happen. So it's not like there's this out of the question. We see this happen over and over again. We saw this happen with what's his name? The kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, right? The police were just standing there letting a riot happen and all this violence broke out. So what I'm saying is on October 7th, it looks like, and a lot of people, everyone I know who's watched this agrees that it looks like the government of Israel, other than the guys right on the border that did fight back, the government of Israel kind of like just let it happen and didn't respond right away and kind of was happy that it's happened. They could use this to exterminate the people in Gaza. That's what they're saying, Donald Trump. But so Donald Trump goes on the air and says, people are saying October 7th never happened. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. Charlie Kirk, he was a big Zionist Mossad agent guy. No, I'm just kidding. He's not a Mossad agent. He's probably paid by him though. So Charlie Kirk even said when it happened, and he loves Israel and he loves the Jews and he loves Israel, and he said that it looked like that to him. So everybody's noticing this. So what I'm saying is, we need to just get everyone to agree that the truth matters, and we should try and find the truth and put the truth as the thing that we're all trying to live with. We need to all try and live with the truth, and like, what is the truth? And not have people thrown in prison for not believing some story that we came up with, like everybody knows that during World War II, Adolf Hitler and the Germans had a problem with the Jews, and it's a complicated situation. It's not black and white, because there was a Jewish mafia operating in New York, and they had ties to Berlin, and they had ties to France and England and Poland and all over the place, because they had a whole commercial system in Europe that Hitler was trying to dismantle and bring about a Germanic commercial order for the German people under what was called National Socialism. And so there were and the Jews were also involved with communism at the time. They were leading the communist revolts, and this had been going on since Karl Marx was friends with Abraham Lincoln. So it's not like all this is just made up. Like, the things the Germans were saying weren't just like made up for no reason. Like, Karl Marx and Abraham Lincoln were friends, and Karl Marx was a communist, if you didn't know that, and Karl Marx wanted to set up a central bank. Right. And this is an anti-monarch. I was just having this argument with actual communists. I said, because I don't know that much about Marx. I've never read his stuff. And I said, well, and I've always heard that central banking is Marxism. So I said, well, tell me, what did Marx say about central banking? And they're like, well, he said it. And so everything that they said was exactly what I assumed Marxism actually did think. And I'm starting to put two and two together, which is that all these banks, the Federal Reserve and the World Bank and the IMF, these are all the product of Marxism. And you think, how could it be Marxism when it's capitalism? Because Marxism and central banking was anti-monarchy, and that's republicanism. Because if you go back to the Revolutionary War, it was a Republican revolt, right? It was a Freemason, Jesuit, because the Jesuits had just been dissolved in 1773. In the summer of 1773, the Jesuit order was dissolved, and they, with the Freemasons, had a revolt in Boston Harbor. And what did they do? They set up a new system of government. But then by the 1800s, it was Marx. It was Marx and Lincoln. And Marxist revolts were already happening in Europe. In Germany, you had the 1848ers, right? There were a bunch of revolts in 1848. And Marx went to a Jesuit school. And I think about 10 of the people that his classmates in the Jesuit school were all involved in these communist revolts in Europe, particularly in Germany and governments associated with the German aristocracy. Now, what happened in America just around the same time is Andrew Jackson shut down the planned central banking scheme in the colonies, right? So Andrew Jackson, who was the president of the United States, defeated the central banking scheme that was being put into the works, right? So then what happened? Andrew Jackson's term ran out, and then we got a Republican coalition formed with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was part of a coalition of other groups that were opposed to Andrew Jackson. They formed a new party, which is known as the Republican Party, and a civil war broke out between the North and the South. And Abraham Lincoln was a Marxist, and that's a fact. And so what happened was they took all these guys that were in Germany. German migrants came and they joined the Union Army to fight the South. So you had migrants, right? Communist migrants coming to the North and leading the German, leading the American U.S. Army, like August Willich, and fighting the South. So fighting Americans for an international mixed group of communists and migrants and northeastern financial groups, right? That's how this started. That's where this started. And so of course the South lost the war, and then they had an agreement. And then what happened after that? They set up they needed a new order in DC that was going to enforce the new established system, as they were getting rid of slavery, but they're going to bring in a new order. And this new order, if you look at the Department of Justice, that's where the main focus was. So now we have Merrick Garland, right? Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice. And that became like the tip of the dictatorship, was a Justice Department in Washington, D.C. that could impose its will on the states. And so here we are, today with Merrick Garland of the Anti-Defamation League. I know I'm saying a lot here. Yeah, because the Anti-Defamation League is the B'nai B'rith, which was founded in 1843 in New York. So this is before the Civil War and before the 1848 revolts. But what did the B'nai B'rith want to do? They wanted to set up a central bank with their partners in Europe, with their partners in England, the Rothschild family. So it was the Rothschild family, which had a network throughout Europe, along with the Warburgs. So it was the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, and then they had people over here. The B'nai B'rith was established as a Jewish Masonic order in New York, and then they were operating also where they were with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Jonas was a famous Freemason and good friend of Abraham Lincoln and supporter of Abraham Lincoln. So what I'm telling you is there's a whole network of Jewish Freemasons, B'nai B'rith, and bankers that they were connected to. So here we have this international conspiracy with UK, banks in Europe, New York, and Judaism and Freemasonry, and Marxism and revolution, Marxist revolutionaries coming to the United States, fighting with the South, setting up a new Department of Justice to go after the states and impose their will on the states, and then ultimately make quote unquote racism illegal. Right now, it's just illegal to be a racist. In other words, we know where it went. But I mean, I'm not for slavery. I think slavery is like totally stupid. But none of this really had a whole lot to do with slavery. They always have excuses for why they're doing things. But so what happened? So that was around so the Civil War ends in 1865-ish, right? And then then once they got that set up in DC, then under the new order, now they were pushing everything towards the establishment of a central bank, which is what Andrew Jackson fought, right? That's what Andrew Jackson opposed and successfully did for a short time. But then they got their way, they got their war, they got their international network, and they established the Federal Reserve Bank. They established the Federal Reserve Bank, and then the first thing they did once they got the Federal Reserve Bank established was they started a giant war, World War I. They started a giant war and killed a lot of people. And of course, that was very lucrative because the bigger wars you have, the bigger loans you need, the more bombs you need, the more bullets you need, the more rifles you need, and the more medical supplies you need. So you've got the medical industry, you've got the banks, and you've got the arms industry. And they're all working together to have the biggest, most bloodiest, violent wars that kill as many people as possible, with huge loans to governments that realize that this is their only chance of survival, because these other guys have so many guns now that they got on loan from the bankers that if you don't take a loan for your guns, you're not going to exist, right? They're just going to come in and take over your country. So you've got a bunch of weapons and blood everywhere. And you need gauze, you need gurneys to carry the dead people around on. So the medical industry loves this too. The more death, the better for them. So anyway, that was World War I. And of course, we had World War II and so on and so forth. And here we are, nonstop war, violence, death, genocide. Now, the people that are causing all this also love to not even adopt, but pay women to give birth to a baby, and then they take the baby and they take it home, and they're gay, and they're homosexuals, and so the homosexuals pay women now in America to have a baby, and as the baby comes out of mom's womb, the baby doesn't go home with mommy, the baby doesn't get to see mommy again, the baby gets sold to 2 homosexuals. That's America. That's what happens in America, dude. That's what happens in America. The baby's born and it doesn't go home with mommy. It's given to 2 homosexual men like Dave Rubin and Pete Buttigieg. Sorry, baby. No mommy. That not only makes me want to cry, it just makes me, it's very provocative. There's no words for how evil that is. But those are the people that run America. Those are the people that run America. People like Dave Rubin, people like Les Wexner, people like Jeffrey Epstein, people like Zelensky, people like Ben Shapiro. Now Ben Shapiro's, he's like, well, I'm against Dave Rubin's homosexual relationships. Okay, but he still comes on your show, huh? He just didn't go to his wedding, but he still comes on your show. He's still your friend. He's still a good guy. Like, give me an example. Nick Fuentes, right? Ben Shapiro, the other day, when Nick Fuentes was allowed back on Twitter, Ben Shapiro says Nick Fuentes is a horrible person. A horrible person. Not a good, like, he's a horrible person. Like, that's just a filthy person. What has Nick Fuentes done that's so horrible? Other than he said things about the Jewish political class? How's that off topic? Oh, I remember, because Nick Fuentes, according to Ben Shapiro, denied the Holocaust. Okay, so what? I don't think Nick Fuentes denied that Jews died during World War II. Does anybody deny that? I've never met a single Holocaust denier that says that Jews didn't die during the Holocaust and that it was all made up. No one said that. No one has ever said that. It's not. There's literally no one has ever said that. What people have said is some of the stories that are told about it are obviously dumb and don't make any sense, and nobody believes it. The problem is some of the dumbest stories are some of their key stories, like the if the Jews would have just said that during the Holocaust the Germans were very brutal towards us and they made us go into camps and some of our people got shot, our families were broken up. See, all that was real, and people would go, yes, that happened, and But so what they did was it's almost like there was a Catholic guy who made a good point the other day about the comparison of the Catholic Church and Christ dying at Golgotha to the Holocaust as a religion, and how you go to Auschwitz. It's like you take the pilgrimage. Like Elon Musk had to do the pilgrimage to Auschwitz, right? And so he goes to Auschwitz and he has to go there on a pilgrimage with Ben Shapiro and to be reminded of the suffering of the Jews. See, in the Catholic Church, and I'm not Catholic. I'm not Roman Catholic. I like traditional religions, but I'm not Catholic. I'm very critical of the Catholics. Jews are not allowed to bear false witness. They also keep the Sabbath holy. That's true. Jews. I don't know about Jews. I would say Israelites. I think the thing you have to be careful about when you say Jews is, in the Bible, obviously, and I'm sure you know this because you're pretty smart about this stuff and you've read the Bible, that there were 12 tribes, right? So it wasn't just the Jews. It was the tribe of Judah and Simon and Simeon and Reuben and Benjamin and I don't know. There was 12 of them. So there's a lot. There's a tribe of Levi. So I think there gets a bit of a confusion when people just say Jews, because now, post-Christianity, Jews tends to mean the people that follow the Talmud. Although I understand your point. It could kind of go either way. But people, when I'm talking about Jews, I'm talking about the Talmudists. Those are what we call Jews today, I guess. The people that lived in Judah. Because also the other thing is not everybody that lived in Judah was necessarily like Judea. There were Greeks in Judea. There were Scythians in Judea. There were Edomites in Judea. There were different tribes of Hebrew tribes living in Judea. So I don't know. Anyway, what the heck was I talking about? No idea. Okay, who else can we call? Tom Cotton, don't need to call him. Guy's such a mealy mouse idiot. Oh, let's see. Oh, the Holocaust. Oh yeah. So Ben Shapiro says that Nick Fuentes is the most horrible person because so in the Catholic Church, you've got they've got the you go to pilgrimage, let's say to where Jesus lived, where Jesus walked in Jerusalem, right? That was an old pilgrimage. People used to do that. They used to travel to the Holy Land and they would see the land where Jesus walked, and they would go to the holy places and all this kind of stuff, right? Now, Europeans they're required to go to Auschwitz. And this is where the suffering, the passion of the Jews. See, you had the suffering of Jesus, which is called the passion of the Christ, right? The suffering where he's tortured and he's put to death. And then he's resurrected, right? And so, but now in the Holocaust religion, it's the passion of the Jews. And so you have to go to Auschwitz and you have to take a pilgrimage to Auschwitz. And then you hear about the shoes. Okay, yes, okay, I understand. They took their shoes off, all right? And then there's a pile of clothes that got deloused with Zyklon B gas. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, so there's some clothes. And then they take you to this thing and they tell you that it's an extermination camp where the Zyklon B gas was used, right? So you walk in there and you're Glenn Beck and you start crying or something. And you walk in there and you're like, oh my God, I'm in the holy place. This is where the suffering ended of God's chosen people, right? Because it's all a religion now. And so you walk in there and then but what they don't tell you is that wasn't even a gas chamber. Because number one, it's got a wooden door. Number two, it's got toilet drains in it. Number three, there used to be a bunch of walls in there that they knocked down. Number four, it was right next to where the SS officers were stationed because it was a bomb shelter, right? So that it was an air raid shelter. So let's say you're out there and you're an SS officer and the Royal Air Force flies over and starts dropping bombs. You have a place to escape to called a bomb shelter. But imagine the Jewish and suffering and PTSD they serve to them all their lives, right? Imagine that. It's almost as bad as being a little Palestinian kid exterminated and having your head blown off. It's almost as bad as that. So anyway, so Ben Shapiro says that Nick Fuentes is the most horrible person in the world because he doesn't believe all the stories about Auschwitz, which nobody knows. No person that cares about the truth and just looks at it believes. And I'm saying that as someone who doesn't like. If you're Jewish, I don't hate you. I don't want to hurt you. I actually think you're fine. Okay, just good for you. But yeah. Okay, but Ben Shapiro says Nick Fuentes is the worst person in the world, but Dave Rubin is fine. How is Dave Rubin not the worst person in the world, according to Ben Shapiro? And Dennis Prager, right? Dennis Prager is Dave Rubin's stolen, purchased, however you want to call it, children, the abducted baby that was taken from its mother at birth. The baby that was taken from its mother, it never got to be with its mother. It never got nutrients. Oh, this hurts, man. Hurts me bad. It never got the nutrients from its mother. Instead, it was taken out of the womb. Imagine being 9 months in your mother's womb and you come out and you're born, and instead of going home with your mother, you're handed off to two homosexual perverts, Dave Rubin and some other fucking guy, and they're going to go home and pretend like you're their baby, and you never see your mother again. That's your life. And Ben Shapiro thinks that's okay. You're still a good guy. We're still friends. And Dennis Prager, Mr. Prager University, with Alan Dershowitz of the Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking network. Okay, child sex trafficking network, Alan Dershowitz, who was the lawyer for a child sex trafficking network to blackmail politicians and important people in business. And you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. How is Nick Fuentes the worst person, according to Ben Shapiro? How's Nick Fuentes the worst person? It's not that bad. Right. So now let's look at Germany. We've got all these people being arrested for Holocaust denial in Germany. You've got Ernst Zundel was arrested in Canada and sent to Germany and sent to prison. You've got Ursula Haberback. You've got Sylvia Stoltz. You've got Horst. I can't remember all their names. But, it's like, how are all these good German people who just disagree with Jews, how are they all being thrown in prison just for disagreeing, just for not believing, right? Because how are they the worst people? How are they the worst people? They're not. They're not. Sad. Anyway, that's our situation. So that's another reason why I'm saying I am not going to lift a finger to fight in any war for any of these people. Not a finger. I will not lift a finger. All I'm going to do is speak out against them. At every opportunity I ever have, I will speak out against these people, and I will never fight for them. I will never fight with them. I will never provide them assistance in war. I'm not going to do anything to them, but I'm not going to do anything for them because they're not mine, and they're hostile. They're hostile to Europeans. They're hostile to the Germans. They're hostile to people in England and the people in Ireland. They're literally invading Ireland with foreigners just because there's too many white people in Ireland. They got to send in Africans because, hey, why is there white people here? We got to mix it up. It's like, can you just leave us alone? Can you just leave us alone? That's why I can't get over this whole thing with the Polish, right? The Polish are like, okay, the Polish want to start problems with the Russians. The Russians are starting a war, and the Poles are like, we'll fight you, and the Estonians are like, we'll fight you too. And it's like, whoa. You're going to fight them for what? I try to explain this to my friends that are Ukrainian when this whole thing broke out in like 2014. And I said, you don't want to get involved in the stuff with John McCain and Barack Obama overthrowing the Ukrainian whatever government that's tied to the Russians. You don't want to do that because nothing good is going to come out of it. How could anything good come out of how could anything good come out of a group of people, okay, that give birth to babies and then give them to homosexual perverts? How could that society do something good for the world, right? They don't. What are the fruits? What are their fruits? Their fruits are genocide. Their fruits are mass murder. Their fruits are poisoning your food, poisoning your medicine, poisoning your culture with pornography and all kinds of really just sick, degenerate shit. Horrible. So yeah, let's find some more idiots to call. And the thing is, the whole government just kneels to them, just bows to them. The police are trained by them. The police, and I've contacted the sheriff's department where I live, and told them about this stuff, and there's nothing they can do about it. They don't do anything. Don't do anything. What can we do? What can we do about it? Oh, there's nothing. Well, I guess there's nothing you can do. So what am I saying? My advice then, if there's nothing you can do, then don't support it. That's what you can do. What you can do is not support any of that and then support something else. Ultimately, you should have your own financial system. Because if you're using the Federal Reserve note, actually, you're supporting them, right? Why? Because that's the note of the people that do all this stuff. That's the note of the Les Wexners and the Jeffrey Epsteins and the Victoria Nulands and the Zelenskys. And, it's like, good, you guys have your thing. Go do your thing separately. I'm going to try and warn people of its dangers because it's horrible what you're doing. And I don't need to attack you, but guess what? I want to do something different. somewhere else. Like, we need to have our own stuff. All right, let's see what we got here. Who can we call? We can call. Oh, let's see. What do we got? Everything I don't like is Hamas. A book. It's funny. Meme. All right. Israel's official X account. Thank you, President of the United States, for your ironclad support. The people of Israel have no greater friend than the United States. President Joe Biden. I just met with National Security Team for an update on Iran's attacks against Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security. That must be old. Netanyahu is still going to. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Okay, Pope Francis is trending. Let's see what he's talking about. Pope Francis. Let's see what he has to say.
United States that oppose your new efforts to revisit teachings and traditions. How do you address their criticism?
You used an adjective, conservative. That is, conservative is one who clings to something and does not want to.
I don't know if you can hear this. I'm going to turn it up.
It is a suicidal attitude.
Hold on a second. Let me turn this up.
Because one thing is to take tradition into account, to consider
my computer's slow. Hold on. Let's get my volume going
quite
here.
another is to be closed up inside a dogmatic.
Something really weird about Pope Francis. I've got pictures of him with B'nai B'rith International, Ron Lauder, World Jewish Congress. Hold on a second.
How do you address their criticism?
Wait, let me start this over
An
again.
adjective, conservative.
Okay, here, let's start this again. Here's Pope Francis with 60 Minutes.
There are conservative bishops in the United States that oppose your new efforts to revisit teachings and traditions. How do you address their criticism?
First of all, before he says anything, why would you need to reform anything in the Catholic Church? I'm not Catholic, okay? But the Catholic Church is what it is. It's what it should be, right? What is it supposed to be? The Catholic Church is supposed to be Christianity and certain traditions, right? That the Catholic Church created. I mean, and I have a problem with it. For me, there's two things. There's philosophy, and then there's religion, religious practice and tradition. And the two things can go together just fine. So in Catholicism, whether it's Roman or Eastern Orthodox or whatever, there's certain traditions that they do every year, certain holidays, certain rituals, and this is part of the religion. This is part of the tradition that brings all the families together and the people together and the nation together. And they practice their religion, which are their traditions and their beliefs that go along with these traditions. So my question is, why would you ever need to change that unless you're going to just dissolve the religion, right? If you change that, that means you've dissolved the religion. That means that religion is over now, and now you're going to do something else. So is that what the Pope is doing? Yes, it is, actually. I'm not Catholic. My father was, born into Catholicism, but he wasn't a practicing Catholic. My mother was not Catholic. She took us to like a Methodist church when I was a kid. And then she stopped going to that, and she went to another church. But anyway, but I'm just saying, if you are the Pope, isn't it your job to keep the religion going? Isn't that your job? My God. Let's see what he says. Hold on a second.
You used an adjective, conservative. That is, conservative is one who clings to something and does not want to see beyond that. It is a suicidal attitude. Because one thing is to take tradition into account, to consider situations from the past, but quite another is to be closed up inside a dogmatic box.
That doesn't even make he didn't even say anything. All he's doing, so here's what he's really doing. What is this even about? Oh my God. I know this is what it's about. This is about him blessing homosexual relationships. Here we go again. Here we go again. This is the Dave Rubinization of the Catholic Church. See, the Pope can bless homosexual relationships, and then those homosexual relationships can pay a woman to have a baby, and they take the baby and take it home and pretend like it's theirs when it's not. That's what the Pope is transitioning the Catholic Church into. You know, I feel sorry for people that really are Catholics that are watching this happen to their church and are just horrified by it. People like Michael Jones, because I've talked to him on Twitter or different places and Facebook and stuff. And the guy, he's trying to explain, he tries to make excuses for the Pope. And it's like, no, dude, you just got to look at what's happening. Okay. Just look at what's happening. This is the controlled demolition of the Catholic Church. But it's not even that. They're trying to turn the Catholic Church into something that's useful to who? Useful to who? The World Bank, IMF, Federal Reserve. That's who. The Marxist system. I know it's Marxist, but it's capitalist, which is like doesn't make any sense, right? Except you have to understand. This goes back to the Civil War. The Marxist system is central banking because that was the whole thing. Marx wrote a bunch of stuff about the workers and about that's what most Marxists think it's about. They think it's about the workers and they're going to have a workers' paradise. And Marx, of course, never held a job other than, I think, philosopher and newspaper man, which isn't even a real job. Okay. I should know. I'm being a philosopher right now. This is not a real job. I'm sitting in my room just verbalizing ideas. That's not a real job. Writing books is not a real job. It's not a real job. Going out and using your hands and working your ass off for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours in a day, getting covered in dirt and, just whatever. That's what I've done in my life. Labor. And I know people that do labor, and I know very few laborers that actually do labor that are actual communists. I think I've met, out of all the actual people I've ever met on a job site that were actual communists in 50 years of my life, there was 2 that I met. Both of them were from Latin America. Both of them had migrated here illegally, and that were working here, or they were born here, but they were from Latin America, and they spoke English, so I could hear what they were saying. And those are the only people that I've ever met that had jobs that were communists. Because everybody else I ever met on a job site, none of them are communist. They might like some socialism here and there, but whatever. What are we talking about? Oh, talking about the Pope. So who does this benefit? The Pope turning the Catholic Church into something that can benefit the central banks. The Pope is turning the Catholic Church into something that can benefit the central banking network of the Federal Reserve and the European Union and the IMF, World Bank operating through the United Nations. So the Catholic Church is being turned into an instrument of central banks. Now, there was a time when the Catholic Church backed aristocracies, right? So originally, the Catholic Church came into existence and they backed kings. So they would appoint a king, and the king would be the ruler over certain territories. And there was a whole network of kings that were all appointed by Rome. And that was the Catholic system, the Roman Catholic system in the West. It was very similar in the East, too. They had basically the same type of system in the East, in Russia and other places, under the Tsar. So they were appointed by the church. So now, since we've had this, so we had the Jesuit movement, which said, okay, so what happened with the Jesuits? The Jesuits set up a commercial enterprise. Because you had the Protestant Reformation, right? So then the counter to that was the Jesuit movement, which came about. The Jesuits specifically said their allegiance is to nobody but the Pope. So the Jesuits declared total and complete allegiance to only the Pope, nobody else. So throughout this whole Protestant period, as more kings were demanding more sovereignty and more say over their territories, it was the Jesuits who said, we believe in the Pope only. We serve the Pope only. So they go out, they're all over the United States, and they're all over, or not the United States, they're all over North America, South America, Asia, the Middle East, all over the place, right? Europe. And they set up a commercial enterprise that the Pope loved because it bypassed the kings, because the kings are being difficult anyway. So the kings around 1759 declared war on the Jesuits in certain areas, Portugal, Spain, some other parts, I believe in Mexico, and they forced them out. That was from 1759 to 1773. And then in 1773, the Pope was forced by the kings to dissolve the Jesuit order because the kings forced the Pope's hand. And of course, that was dissolved in 1773. And what was the next thing that happened? A revolt broke out in Boston Harbor just a few months later. From summer to winter in 1773, December 1773, a revolt broke out in Boston Harbor, starting the American Revolution. And that revolution resulted in what? The establishment of Washington, D.C. on land donated by the Pope with Bishop Carroll, who my friend Jordan Maxwell says, I haven't verified it, but he says he was related to the Carroll family somehow. You're probably familiar with Jordan Maxwell. He's a good guy. So he talked about the Jesuits and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Pope Francis is a Jesuit. And Karl Marx went to a Jesuit school. And it was likely that the Jesuits were, because it was a commercial enterprise globally, it's quite likely that there were Jewish bankers before they had access to European markets. It's very likely that there were Jewish bankers involved in the Jesuit commercial enterprises. Let's put it that way. The kings of Europe were being bypassed by the Jesuit order, which is why they started a war with them. And I don't have the receipts, but I can assume because there was a group of Jewish bankers operating in the region of southern Russia and the eastern, near Asia, like Greece, Turkey area, mostly Turkey. I think the Turkish territory, which was previously Anatolia, and now there's no Christians there because they were all wiped out. I believe that there was a Jewish banking network operating out of there at the time. And that they were comfortable there with living among and with the Muslim government in Turkey. And I think that's why Turkey was so stably Islamic, because of their cooperation with the Jewish aristocracy that was living among them and operating among them and had rights there. So anyway, what happened? 1773, there was a revolt. Then you had they dissolved the aristocracies over time. What was the end result of all this? The end result of all this was a bunch of revolutions to set up a new system of government that required a central bank, which replaced the aristocracies. Why? Because a king has the sovereignty to say no. Or if he loans you money, let's say you loan the king money, he can't pay you back, and you're being a little too pushy. Well, he can just have you arrested, right, and put to death. He's the king. He can have his troops come to your house and arrest you and shoot you because he's the king. King can do whatever he wants. He has the authority to do it. Well, that's not the case now because there is no governmental authority other than those who are bound to the central banks. Can you name another one? I can't. I don't know of another one. So what's the Catholic Church appears to be doing is just acting as a conduit, as something that's useful to the program of the central banks that run New York That's no different. So the Pope wants to be able to bless homosexual relationships in his church as a holy sacrament. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Now, it's not just, we shouldn't just pick on homosexuals because it's the same sex, okay? It's any type of deviation, in my view, this is my personal view, any type of deviation from male and female relationships of any kind, particularly monogamous relationships, right? Anything else other than male and female monogamous relationships, in my view, is wrong and it's immoral, and you shouldn't do that because it's damaging to the fabric of society. Because the society is built on what? Men and women and children. So anything that threatens that, and you're like, it doesn't threaten that. No, it does. And anyone who says that it doesn't is just, in my opinion, a deviant and dangerous, actually, and a threat to children, right? How is this not a threat to children? How is paying a woman to give birth to a baby and then taking that baby away from its mother? Does that baby not deserve to be with its mother? I mean, it's sad that the mother would even sell the baby. She's not a very good mother, is she? Is she a good mother? Would a good person? Can you imagine? This is your body, right? This is your physical body, and you've gone through this biological function of producing a human being and giving birth to a human being, and then you sell that to perverts. Okay, now what do I mean by pervert? Pervert means to pervert, to alter something from its original state, its original purpose, right? If I took a screwdriver and stuck it in a light socket, that's not screwdrivers for that. It's for unscrewing things. So it's deviating it from its original purpose, right? It was made as a screwdriver. If I took a hammer and used it to wash my dishes, what is my kitchen going to look like? It's not going to look very good. So that's what I'm saying. When I say pervert, I mean to change, deviate away from the original purpose, right? You know, my ears are made with a purpose, right? An ear has a purpose. It's for hearing. So the design of an ear, whether you believe that it was designed by God, the creator, by imagining these things into existence, or if you believe that it all just happened in like a big chaotic evolutionary timeline, whatever, it still has a purpose, right? So anyway, if you deviate from that purpose, then you're that's called you're moving towards death, right? If you start abusing your ear, if you abuse your ear, if you shove things into your ear that don't belong in your ear, you're going to damage your eardrum. It's not supposed to go in your ear, okay? That's what I'm saying. Don't stick things in your ear that don't belong in there. Don't put things in your ears. Stop it. Stop that. So what does that do to a child, right? What does that do to a little baby that just got born and wants its mommy, wants to suckle its mother and get nutrients from its mother's body? How beautiful is that? And to imagine, you take something like that and you just throw it in the trash and you just sell it. You know, you're the woman, you just sell it to a pervert. You just sold your baby. You just sold your baby to a pervert. Oh my God. What kind of society is this? What kind of society is that? Is so satanic and evil, and it's just horrifying. And to realize that there's no refuge. Outside of the United States, that's not allowed, which is why I can't support. Right? If you're Russia, you might as well kill us all. If this is how we are, you might as well just bomb the U.S. and get rid of us all because we sell babies to perverts. But we don't have a lasting way to facilitate trade either. When it was gold, everybody was raiding other cultures and sinking each other's ships. What good was that? Yeah, no kidding. That's a good point. So, what we could do though, we could have either we could come up with our own, like what was his name? Benjamin Franklin came up with the Continental Script, right? So they came up with Continental Script, and that served the purpose. And that was a good idea. We could do the same type of a thing. As Americans, we could have an American currency for Americans to do trade. And the cool thing is there's enough Americans to keep it going because we can produce everything we need as Americans. We've got tons of oil. We've got tons of minerals in the ground. We've got oceans. We've got land. We can grow food. We can manufacture everything we need. And it could all be done by Americans. It would be a totally separate economy using a separate currency. And the agreement is we're going to set up a currency and an economy for us. And it's just going to be for us. And we would be so much, our standard of living would be so much higher than everywhere else. And you could say, well, I could get this thing manufactured cheaper in China. And at first, that would be a good deal. But then as everybody does that, and then the wages drop out, then everyone just gets poorer. Yeah, no kidding, 100%. I think you got the point. You know what's up. But it would be nice. It's just that America's so big, and it could be more than just America. It'd be America and Canada, for instance, right? America and Canada and England and France and Germany. We have so much resources that we literally don't need anything else. We don't even need anybody else. And we certainly don't need Federal Reserve notes. If we can just issue our own currency, we trade our own stuff. So here's the other cool thing about currency, which is kind of an interesting subject. Your currency as a human being is what you produce. If you are an electrician, that's your currency. You know what I mean? You can go out and wire a house up and get paid for it. So it's like your currency in life is your ability to wire up a house. Or if you're a plumber, or if you're a carpenter, or whatever you can do, or maybe you're a geologist, then you can dig up stuff out of the ground and distribute it. Well, everybody needs that stuff. So if we just had a common currency for us that we can use to facilitate trade between each other, I think that would solve like 90% of our problems. 90% of our problems. Let's see what else is on the YouTubers. Not YouTube, Twitters. So Pope Francis, world most charmless, self-inflated, and ridiculously dressed monkey. I would agree with that. And it's not that I don't like Catholic people. I do. I just don't like the Pope. And I don't like the fact that he's trying to use his church to facilitate the banking scheme. Okay, here's the next one. They still provide security. Oh, yeah. Check this out. Richard Gage says, the 9/11 killers are still roaming free among us. Who will put them behind bars? And then he's got a meme here. It says, when a cop is killed, their colleagues all go out for justice, unless it's the 71 cops killed on 9/11. Pardon me, I'm sorry. It's so true. And it was so shocking to me, too, because when all this information came out about 9/11, I won't get on X. I'd probably lose my mind. You should get on there. It's pretty fun. When all these cops were killed, and then all this information came out on 9/11, and all the firefighters, I figured, man, these guys. Once these guys find out what happened, and the people in the military, the Pentagon, I was figuring, once all these patriots see all these pictures of what happened, there's going to be hell to pay. Was there? Nope. Not a bit. Everyone who was involved in the mass murder on 9/11, just walking around free. No one's looking for them. FBI is not looking for them. CIA is not looking for them. Department of Justice isn't doing anything to prosecute them. In fact, their colleagues are running the Department of Justice in the United States in Washington, D.C. Merrick Garland is an Anti-Defamation League member. He's a member of the Anti-Defamation League. So is Mayorkas, who's running the border. And as you know, the border is wide open, and we're being flooded with people from all over the world. We're going to come here and change the demographics of America so that it won't exist. So I don't know where these patriots went. Don't know where the patriots went. I mean, Sean Hannity was. I was like, man, can you imagine when Sean Hannity finds out about what really happened to New York that he lived in, the city he lived in? Yeah, we tried to tell him. He didn't care. Doesn't care. Just doesn't care. He cares about money. He likes money. He likes money. Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. I'm not saying if I criticize Donald Trump, I'm not saying I don't like him. But why? How can you be Donald Trump? And, I know Donald Trump must know Larry Silverstein. How does he not know Larry Silverstein? How does he not know him? He must know him. Why don't you, if you become president, why don't you get the Department of Justice to, raid his stuff and take everything he owns and throw him in prison and go after all these guys? Bloomberg was there. Bloomberg was part of that. You know who else was part of that, which is kind of interesting, is Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani was in World Trade Center 7 and evacuated it while the towers were being blown up. And then World Trade Center 7, of course, collapsed later that afternoon. But he was in World. Maybe they tried to kill Giuliani. I don't know, because he was in World Trade Center 7 during that. He was in there. Him and Bernard Kerik were in there together, and they both made it out. So maybe Giuliani's not a bad guy, but he never exposed any of it. He just kept his mouth shut. Giuliani is famous for taking out the Italian mafia, which, good job, but you left this other mafia there called the Jewish mafia, and they blew up the World Trade Center. Larry Silverstein and company, Michael Bloomberg, Ron Lauder of the World Jewish Congress, B'nai B'rith. It's a Masonic order. It was founded as a Masonic order. The B'nai B'rith was, and that's the Anti-Defamation League, and it's the Anti-Defamation League, World Jewish Congress, B'nai B'rith, International. It's an international Jewish Masonic order, and that's who blew up the World Trade Center. They're also the ones that founded Israel. They founded Israel, but they've been around longer, obviously. See what else is on here. Oh yeah, so that's the one time I ever went to the Simon Wiesenthal Center was when Richard Gage was called a terrorist by the Simon Wiesenthal Center back when he was active and became active in the 9/11 Truth Movement. And it's like, I was so shocked. I'm like, why is the Simon Wiesenthal Center calling him a terrorist? So I went up there with a group of guys with some video cameras, and we went in there to interview we went in there to interview the people who were working in the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And when I was in there, I couldn't help to notice that the people working in there were Israelis. They weren't Americans. And in fact, the girl that I spoke to, the lady who I spoke to, was an Israeli. She was not an American. She had an Israeli accent. And the thing you have to understand about the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Beverly Hills in Los Angeles is that it's actually a military installation. So it's an Israeli Mossad military installation. And so when you look at what happened recently at UCLA, and you had some, let's call them pro-Hamas, because that's what Sean Hannity calls them. Let's call them that. The anti-genocide protesters, which means they're pro-Hamas, which is weird because they're anti-genocide and they're pro-Hamas. And that's, of course, what Tom Cotton calls them. So that must mean they're good? Is that what you're saying, Tom? Because you're not for genocide, are you, Tom? Anyway. So they just brutalized those guys at UCLA who were out doing a protest. Now, I watched the pictures, and the people who were protesting were minding their own business. It looks to me like Mossad, IDF, Benjamin Netanyahu, whoever that runs the military operations in the United States, sent in people to break windows and smash things, much like they did on January 6th during the Trump rally, /riot. So they got to get the riot going first, and then everyone, all the normies go, oh my God, the pro-Hamas are rioting. No, that's not what happened. And then so after the little riot broke out up there, which was probably caused by the Mossad agents, they started attacking them at night, and the police just stood there letting them get attacked. And then people got their heads cracked open and blood everywhere, and they're being attacked by the Israelis, who are operating as a military operation. That's why this is all so dangerous. That's why the most dangerous thing there is to be in America, or I guess anywhere at any time, is a philosopher, someone who speaks the truth, someone who does what I'm doing right now. This is so incredibly dangerous. I don't feel like I'm in danger right now, but potentially I could be in danger, and we all could be in danger. We all are in danger. But anyway, so what I'm saying is they sent guys in to attack the Palestinian pro-Gaza anti-genocide war protesters, right? Cracked their heads open while the police stood there and monitored the situation. What I'm saying is that is all directed by Israeli military. The Israeli military is operating in the United States of America, cracking people's heads open. That's what I'm saying. And it's operating at Simon Wiesenthal Center. So why is Simon Wiesenthal Center such a good front for the military, for the Israeli military? Because attacking it would be anti-Semitic. You see? So here you have a military installation that has the cover, the legal cover of being a protected zone. It's protected by laws against hate. Hate. It's protected by laws against hate. You can't hate us because that's against the law, because that makes you a bad person, because we're just practicing our religion here. And we were sent to the gas chambers at Auschwitz that was really actually not a gas chamber, but an air raid shelter for the SS. But we all have to believe this, otherwise we go to prison. That's America. That's America. That's America. But you know what's not bad in America? Selling babies to perverts. That's actually fine. What's wrong with that? What are you, a bigot? What are you, some kind of a bigot? This country's ridiculous. This country is such a clown show that there's no way any sensible person can continue to support this. And it's not even that I am going to have to go out and fight and do something to stop it. It's just going to die on itself. There's no way this can continue on because it's not viable. This much lying, this much corruption is not viable. So what I would say to people that want America to continue is to stop supporting all this crazy shit. And, extricate yourself from the whole Jewish Zionist fight with the Hamas. We're supporting the Israelites. Fuck that, honestly. Sorry for the F, but come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquity. Don't participate in it. Don't participate in it. Let's make something else, can we? Can we do something else? Can we just do something else instead of this shit? Can we do something else productive? Can we do something else enjoyable? America, we don't even build cities in America. We don't. Unless it's like Las Vegas, where you can go to, find hookers and gamble. But what cities? They build suburbs, they build housing tracts. But how about just like a big beautiful city like they used to build back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s? Remember back then they used to build cities. I would say they started building cities around, was it 1900? They started building cities around the 1800s. Okay, let's say they started building some nice cities around the 1800s and into the 1900s, and then it really peaked around the 1930s and 40s. The buildings were beautiful. And then after that, you got into the 1950s and 60s. And that's when they started tearing down the good looking buildings and putting up ugly buildings. And then the buildings just got uglier and uglier and uglier. And the people got worse and worse and worse. And the civilization got worse and worse and worse. And now it's where we are today, where you get arrested for not believing things. And people like Dave Rubin buy babies. And that's fine. It's fine to buy a baby if you're Dave Rubin. What's wrong with that? How is that? How is that even possible? Okay, let's see what else we got here. Marsha Blackburn. Not talking about Jews. Good for you, Marsha. Ted Cruz. Oh, here we go. Ted Cruz is back to talking about Jews. Ted Cruz slams. I like they always use the word slams. Slams, destroys Democrats for abandoning Israel. We love Israel even more than Chuck Schumer. What a stupid political system we have. So Chuck Schumer loves Israel, but he doesn't love him enough. I love him even more. I'm Ted Cruz. I have to love him even more. I can't even. There's no limit to my love. Can you guys just shut the hell up? Can you just shut the hell up, man? You guys are so dumb. Ted Cruz. He just looks like such a weirdo too. He's got bread face. That's what another person that's not allowed on the internet used to call him. Andrew Anglin. Does anybody out there know Andrew Anglin? Does anybody out there remember Andrew Anglin? Andrew Anglin is the one who started this whole thing. Sounds like Kim Kardashian. I don't know who that is. Oh no, I do know who that is. I don't know what sounds like Kim Kardashian. Remember Andrew Anglin? He's not allowed on the internet anymore. He's not allowed on Twitter. He's not even allowed on the internet. He has to be on the black internet, like the secret internet. He's the guy that started this whole thing, man. At least in modern times. Around 2014, he had a website called The Daily Stormer. And he's the one that rallied like this huge movement, this big movement that started. The big thing that got this whole ball rolling. This is what happened. This is actually the true story. It was Andrew Anglin. It wasn't Alex Jones. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't anybody else anywhere. It was Andrew Anglin. And Andrew Anglin, when the Kalergi information, it was Andrew Anglin, and it was the guy, Nick, the BNP leader, Nick Griffin. Nick Griffin gave a speech on the floor of the EU Parliament about the Kalergi plan. This is the first time I'd ever heard of the Kalergi plan. The information had existed on the internet already. People were already uploading information about the Kalergi plan, but I hadn't heard about it until I watched this speech by Nick Griffin, a member of Parliament for the EU, from the UK. He gives this brilliant speech about the Kalergi plan, and from that point on, it was just on fire. We started distributing that speech all over the place, started digging into all the resources on the Kalergi plan, and just mass distributing that information all across the internet. And it was me doing it, and it was the Daily Stormer doing it, and it was everybody doing it. And it was like spreading the gospel, man. It was like on fire. Have you heard about the Kalergi plan? This was back around, I don't know, whenever Nick Griffin gave the speech, that lit the fuse. It was Nick Griffin, British National Party. He lit the fuse. So we got all that out. We just that information just exploded onto the internet. Alex Jones never heard of this stuff before. Nope. And so we just got all this out. Boom, boom. We had been doing this for about a year. I had a Facebook group at the time called the Anti-Kalergification League, which was taken over by the British security services. So don't go on that Facebook group if you're on Facebook, because they're just collecting your information. Not that they're not already anyway. But they screwed up because, see, here's the thing. I had the anti-kalergification forum on Facebook long before they realized it was a problem. Long before this is before Brexit. Before Brexit. Okay. I had a group called the Anti-Kalergification League. And so what happened is we got that group set up and we got all the Kalergi information out. I've got documents that were written by Freemason Lodge And I posted it on there. That was the top thing when you would go to that Facebook group, is you would see the documents written by the Freemasons about the establishment of the European Union and Nicholas Clergy and how it was all set up by the Freemasons and so forth. And of course, we had a lot of other information that we were distributing. So now this was before Trump ran for president. So what happened? Trump announces that he's going to run for president, right? He announces that he's going to run for president. This is coming down the escalator, and boom, we're like, yeah, that's our guy right there. So when they tell you that, remember when they were saying this all over the news, they're like, Trump is backed by Nazis and anti-Semites and KKK. That was all true. That's the beauty of it. It was all true. Trump was backed by a group of neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan. Not that I'm Ku Klux Klan. You know that Ku Klux Klan actually means the Keikel clan? Ku Klux is circle. I don't want to get into that right now, though. I'm not KKK. But I'm just saying, it's true. It's true. Trump's base, when he announced that he was going to run for president, Trump's base, and I hope everyone hears this. I hope Joe Biden hears this. I hope James Comey hears this. I hope MSNBC hears this. I hope Fox News hears this. I hope everybody hears it. When Trump announced that he was coming down the escalator and he announced that he's running for president, his base was a group of neo-Nazis at the Daily Stormer. That is true. And that's why they freaked the hell out. And we just want our industry back. That's where the wealth is created. Yeah, that's true. But so what happened was we had this base of neo-Nazis. And that's why, remember, I don't know if you remember this, but so there were people like Julia Lauf, is that her name? She's a Ukrainian Jewish girl, very pretty. And she started attacking somebody. And so then all the guys at the Daily Stormer, not me, but the Daily Stormer people were like the Groypers. They were the pre-Groypers. That's what it was. So you got Nick Fuentes, and he's got this whole group called the Groypers, right? Which he like took over that thing. He took over that thing from Andrew Anglin. This is the true story that nobody's told you. Nick Fuentes took over the Groypers from Andrew Anglin. Okay, Nick Fuentes and Andrew Anglin were working together behind the scenes, and Andrew Anglin said, "This is our leader. Go with him." But anyway, before Nick Fuentes, Trump announces he's going to run. You had all these guys at the Daily Stormer that if anyone attacked Trump or Melania or anything, they would hit him in the comments section and attack him and call them Jews and make anti-Semitic memes and stuff like that, right? And this just drove them crazy, right? This drove them nuts. And so MSNBC was having, like, Rachel Maddow was saying, and then remember they had the Pepe frogs and the swastikas and the KKK hoods, and it was like, they're all, Trump is backed by this group. They've got a frog, and it's an anti-Semitic frog, and it's a Nazi frog, and they're spreading these memes. That was all true. Now, this is before Alex Jones started with Trump. We were already backing Trump. Were 100% on Trump. And Alex Jones was backing at the time Rand Paul. And Alex Jones said Trump is he's trying to ruin this. He's trying to help Hillary Clinton. This is what, if you go back and listen to what Alex Jones said, like, in the beginning. He said he's trying to be a spoiler for Hillary Clinton. They're friends. I'm not buying it. I'm more like, no, forget it. Because Jeb Bush was running too at the time. It was Jeb Bush, Rand Paul, who Alex was backing originally, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And so, of course, Trump came out from day one. We said, we're backing Trump 100%. So this whole group, what people didn't realize is there was a base that had been created on the internet with Andrew Anglin and others that was international. There was basically millions of people around the world on the internet, in America, Canada, Argentina, Europe, England, Germany, France, Sweden, all over the place, in the East, in Moldova and Greece and in Italy and parts of Russia. Like, literally, it was international. And this was a whole group. So when Trump started, he had this base, this international base of people that were all basically like white guys on the internet. And then they just flooded him with support, boom, from the beginning. And then so he takes off, and it freaked out the media. They're all getting hit, right? Every time they hit Trump, they get hit in their comment section by all these guys with like swastikas and KKK hoods and stuff. Anyway, and so anyway, long story short is Alex Jones finally came around to Trump because what Trump was saying was good. He said, we want to make America great again. We want to rebuild our infrastructure. We want to get jobs for everybody. We're going to get rid of this illegal immigration problem and so forth and so on, right? And so Alex Jones came around and other stuff. So then what we did was we kept hitting Alex Jones and people associated with him with the Kalergi information, right? We never got anywhere with Alex Jones with talking about the Holocaust. Never got anywhere. But we did get somewhere with the Kalergi information because this explained everything. So we hit Alex Jones' comment section with Kalergi. And then on Facebook, the Kalergi information spread like wildfire on Facebook. It was all over the place. It was all over Eastern Europe, Western Europe, UK, Canada, Australia. Everybody got the word out. This is before they shut down my Facebook group with the police department. It was the British security services, the MI5 or whoever, right? The British government literally took over my website and deleted my account. But guess what? It was too late because Donald Trump had already been elected and Brexit already went through. And it wasn't until after that see what happened was they went back after that and said, how did we just lose all this stuff, right? Because they had been going, right? The enemies of, let's call it the enemies of the white race and the enemies of Christianity in general, the enemies of European people and the German people and the British people and the Americans, the Anglosphere, they had been making so much progress for so long. They had so much momentum. And then all of a sudden, wham, they get hit with Donald Trump becoming the president. They're like, how did this happen? And it took them a while to trace it all back because they thought these were Russian bots or something. They didn't know. They knew that, okay, here's what they knew. They knew about Andrew Anglin, which is why he was like one of the first people to get X'd off of the internet. They got rid of him. But then they started putting all these pieces together, and it took a while for them to figure it out. But before then, it was too late. Because what happened? Alex Jones started talking about Kalergi plan during Trump's presidency. So did Tucker Carlson. Now it's common knowledge. Tucker Carlson talks about all the stuff that we were talking about, which is the Kalergi plan, that this is a planned replacement of white people, particularly in Europe. Now, why did they even come up with this plan? Kalergi came up with this plan, I guess, around the 1920s. So if you don't know, Kalergi was part of the Austrian government. He was part of the aristocracy, and he was a Freemason, part of the aristocracy, the Habsburg government that Hitler wrote about in Mein Kampf. Okay, so when Hitler came to power, a lot of people fled, obviously Austria, because Hitler took Austria, and he also took France, and he took all of Germany, and so a lot of people fled. And of course, we all know about the Frankfurter School and how the Marxists came to, Columbia or whatever. Well, the other people that came was Kalergi. He had to flee Austria. He came to New York, and he was actually so he came to New York, where he was given he went to the university. I believe it was either Columbia or New York University, one of the two. He comes to New York. He gets he comes there to like a refugee, because he had to flee the government. So he's like in exile, right? So he's in exile in New York. And there he is sponsored, or maybe he was already sponsored by the Rothschilds. He was already working for the Rothschilds, I guess. I don't know when he wrote the book. I don't know if he wrote it there or while he was in Austria. Either way, he flees. Now, why did they come up with this plan? The plan was they wanted to have a European Union. So they wanted to have a new government in Europe. And the barrier to that new government was the fact that you have all these ancient blood ties to the region. among the Germanic races and the Celtic races. And these Celtic and Germanic races have allegiance to their race in Europe. And you can't put a new government over these people because they won't support it, because they're too embedded in the worship of their ancestors. And so what the plan was is to bring in people from Africa and Asia to replace the Germanic and European people and mix it all up so that they could bring in a new government that these new people would support. That was the plan, and that is the plan, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've been doing the whole time. And that's it. That is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. So now, you never heard about this until, Tucker Carlson started talking about it. And so here's the good news, is that I know for a fact that Alex Jones relayed this information to Donald Trump. And this information was all relayed to people like General Flynn and other people in the administration and high enough in the administration to at least get the message to these people. So the message was delivered, and Trump got the message when he was in office that there is this whole program going. So whether or not we can stop it from occurring is one thing, but the message did reach from the Daily Stormer to the President of the United States, and it took a while to do that. So what I'm saying is they had to go back through and they had to clear off all these people off of the internet and get rid of all these different accounts and delete everybody's account and get rid of all these different discussion forums to try to reduce the damage that was done to their agenda. So I had some Facebook groups. I had one for Sylvia Stolz, which I took over from actual people in Germany because they're not allowed to talk. And Sylvia Stolz was a lawyer who was sent to prison for defending her client, who was somebody who didn't believe in all of the stories that Jews claim about the Holocaust. And so her defending him in court was a crime, because that's how it works over there. It's a crime. It's a crime to defend your client in court because he doesn't believe the Holocaust, so he needs to go to jail. And if you defend him, you go to jail too. Yeah. So they shut down the Sylvia Stolz site, but that wasn't the one that deleted my account. The one that deleted my account at the time was the Anti-Clarification League. But by then it was too late. Everybody already heard of it. Tucker Carlson was talking about it on his show, and Alex Jones was talking about it on his show, and it was literally reached Fox News and it reached the White House, and everybody knew about it and everybody knows about it. And it's not a secret anymore, and it's common knowledge. So we won that battle. But have we won the war yet? No, we haven't. All right. So anyway, instead of rebuilding Europe and rebuilding America and doing something for ourselves and rebuilding our own civilizations, what are we doing? What are the politicians doing today? They're starting a war with Russia. They just killed, 1 million people in Eastern Europe. They just killed a bunch of people in Gaza. There's, what does this have to do with anything that benefits us? Nothing. Zero benefit. And if the U.S. wins, what does that even mean? What does victory in Ukraine mean if the U.S. wins? Does that mean more babies can get sold to homosexuals? Is that what that means? What else does it mean? Right? What else does victory in Ukraine mean other than BlackRock controls the farms and poisons all the food, and homosexuals get to purchase babies, and BLM rallies and riots and pride parades in Kiev and rainbow flags over Kiev? Like, what does victory look like? Because that's a victory for who? That's not a victory for the white race. It's not a victory for Christianity. It's not a victory for any of the ancient races and tribes of Europe and Germany and the Celtic people. So who's it a victory for? Whose victory? What is a U.S. victory? Who's it a victory for? It's not a victory for white people. It's not a victory for Christian people. So who's it a victory for? The only people I can tell that it would be a victory for would be the Jewish mafia. Not even all Jewish people. There's plenty of hardworking Jewish people around the world. Blah 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 blah. I have to say that every time, but it's true. It'd be a victory for the Jewish mafia, and it would be a victory for people that like to be perverts, and it would be a victory for migrants who want to get shitty jobs in Europe, because that's all that's going to be left. And that's it. It's not a victory for us. So why support it? Why support anything they're doing? Why is Tom Cotton so concerned? Why is Ted Cruz so concerned? What is the future they're providing? If the future looks anything like the present, then there is no future for America. The only chance America has is to stop being perverts, to stop being mafia, to instead of basing your population on migration, to base it on families, to base it on your people having families and perpetuating your race. That's the only future for Europe. Otherwise, there is no Europe, because the other races will do that. They'll do it in your land. So you won't have anything. And with that, we will end off, because that's the only thing that we need to be concerned. The only thing we need to be concerned with, other than that, is worshiping the truth. Worshiping the truth, because they don't want to crash right now. Yes, we are faced with catastrophe. We are faced with a crash. Right? If they don't get the migrants and this and the war and that, everything just collapses. Everything just collapses. That's right. We're faced with collapse. So prepare for collapse. What do you need? You need to stack food and water and provisions, and make sure you have some self-defense stuff to defend your life. To hunt, you better be able to learn. You better be good at hunting. You might need to hunt. Now, the good thing is, if you're in California, there's wild hogs everywhere. I think Texas has this problem too. So you're not going to go hungry, because if you can shoot a wild hog, you have dinner every night. And who doesn't like bacon, right? Who doesn't like bacon? In fact, I bet you wild hog bacon tastes better than, yeah, good talk. Thank you, man. It was fun. All right, I'm signing out. Talk to you later.